Chapter 14:11 In modern day 9 As the cold wind blows, the flashlight on my phone dims. I shiver and my hair stands on end. To be honest, after becoming an assassin, even if there isn't any light, I can still see the surroundings clearly without worrying about what's on the ground. But there's no conflict between me being able to see in the darkness and my need for a flashlight. Who isn't afraid of the dark? At that moment, my heart beats faster, pounding like a drum. Almost at the same time, I sense someone watching me. The cold wind is the breath of a monster lurking deep in the darkness. Recalling what happened on the bus previously, I pretended not to notice anything amiss and looked down at my phone. It's broken again? I had previously encountered the sudden experience of my phone's flashlight dimming, but I was using a crappy phone. At this moment, the experienced me habitually blamed it on the phone. After checking the phone and making the lights turn on again, I continue forward without anything happening. The eerie wind is still lingering in the corridor. The light flickers in brightness, digging up the fear hidden at the bottom of my heart. As I walk, I seriously consider what powers an assassin has against ghosts. The answer is, nothing. Since I have nothing, I don't look forward to slaying evil or dealing with the possible existence of a ghost as if dealing with gangsters. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. I calmly walk up the flight of stairs and arrive at the top floor. The lights in the building are working fine as they shine down with their yellow light. Everything returns to normal. Following that, the cold gust of wind stops. The light stops flickering. I successfully return to the 6th floor and stop at the entrance of my rented apartment. Phew, there's actually a ghost present here. I have to move out as soon as possible. This thought subconsciously flashes across my mind. I don't feel any shame. This is an instinctual response that anyone can have. However, if I quietly moved away, Xiaofan and her boyfriend would definitely not know what's happening here. They'll continue living here. Who knows whether the devil might pester them. Also, there are 12 units in this building. It's impossible for me to inform every household, right? Also, how do I say it? Ghosts? Who would believe me? I hold my key, momentarily held in a difficult spot. Quickly hire a capable Taoist priest or monk to exorcise the ghost. But I don't know any. Before today, I didn't even know that there are supernatural powers in this world. It was all fantasy. Yes, the tarot club's The Star knows that the mysterious cult provides all kinds of superpowers, which means he has a certain level of understanding in such matters. Will he know a few masters who are good at busting ghosts? Phew, I'll give it a try. If there's nothing I can do, I'll make an anonymous call to inform the police. I'll post a flyer that mentions how this place is haunted at every household's door. No, not flyer, a bulletin. I quickly come up with a plan. As for the outcome, I don't have any demands. After all, I don't have any experience in this area. Besides, I should prioritize protecting myself. Opening the door, I enter the room and return to my room. I think for a while before logging on to QQ and entering a private chat with the Star. The hanged man and the hermit suspect that he's a member of cyber police. If I were to directly look for him, he will definitely be able to find my IP address and lock onto my identity. Just as I'm about to type the message, I remember the warning from 2 other members of the Tarot Club. After tinkering for a while, I use a proxy and use my alt, the world, to say to the Star. Are you there? I have something to ask you. Don't use that emoji. It scares me. Star replies quickly. Why? I ask. The Star says. This emoji has become popular recently. It's very strange. Furthermore, something tragic happened to a family last week. Everyone in that family wore a monocle and died in different places. The only survivor was a girl who went mad from the trauma. She repeatedly tells people not to go near her. I suspect that those who use this emoji will be targeted by an unknown existence. They will automatically put on a monocle and commit suicide or kill each other. Don't scare me. I reply, unsure if I should believe him. Huh, it's just a joke. The monocle in this emoji is on a different eye from the tragedy. Furthermore, there are thousands of people using this emoji. Which unknown existence can keep an eye on everyone? The star switches to asking, why are you looking for me? I directly say, my area is haunted. Do you know anyone who's good at ghost busting? I'm very good at that. The star replies without hesitation. Then wouldn't I be exposed? I quickly send an emoji. I won't trouble you for the time being. You seem very busy. Do you have anyone else that you could introduce to me? Yes, a lady, a medium. She's skilled in techniques from overseas, but I can guarantee that it's effective. There's another foreigner, a priest. He's also good at setting up exorcism rituals. The star replies. They're all foreigners. You don't have Taoist priests or monks to introduce. I'm more trusting towards local ones. The star replies, I only know foreign ones. Okay. Who's better? I had wanted to ask who's cheaper, but considering how someone cheap might not do the job, I don't dare to skimp on that. The star immediately says, Ma'am duh. I'll give you her QQ number. Add her directly and contact her. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXX. Okay, thank you. I quickly copy the QQ number and paste it into the search box. Ma'am duh's QQ name is Sleeping with Corpses, and adding her requires one to answer a verification question. How old are you? How old? This question is strange. Do I need to use a countersign? I'm puzzled for a moment. I take a screenshot and send it to the star. What's the answer? The star replies, just answer that you're an adult. What's the meaning of this? She doesn't entertain underage clients? I'm confused. No. She just wants to determine the extent she can go in the conversation. The star answered simply, and then used an image to supplement it, open to suggestions, ready to be suggestive. For some reason, I'm at a loss on how to respond. I fill up the verification according to the star's answer and fill in, adult. Doesn't seem online. I didn't get added even after a few minutes. After thanking the star, I use snacks to console myself. After eating and drinking, I head to the bathroom outside to wash up and prepare to head to bed. Ma'am duh still hasn't added me. I switch on the bathroom light and turn on the tap. I reach for the towel. Turning around, I suddenly see a figure in the mirror. That figure is blurry. Vaguely, I see it wearing a small hat. It's a woman in a black dress. Clearly, this isn't my projection. It can't be Sia Taz, who wears pajamas as home. Instantly, my mind explodes and I hurriedly retreat. Don't be afraid, the woman in the mirror says in an ethereal voice. Someone hired me to protect you. Who? I ask subconsciously. The figure in the mirror replies calmly, a detective named Sherlock Moriarty. Chapter 1412 In Modern Day 10 Sherlock Moriarty? Sounds like a foreigner. Moriarty seems to be the professor in Holmes. Sherlock seems to be Holmes's first name. This detective is using a fake name, right? It has a style reminiscent of coming up with a name when creating a game avatar. Perhaps he isn't a foreigner. I sense something from the ghost in the mirror and ask after some thought, who is he? Why does he want to protect me? At this moment, due to the other party's ability to communicate, my sense of fear has been greatly reduced. I've become an assassin. Isn't it normal for ghosts to exist in this world? It isn't hard to accept something that goes against common sense. Besides, it's not like I didn't sense something on the bus on the way home. The blurry woman wearing a petite bonnet in the mirror replies in a flat voice, "Someone wants to harm you." She didn't tell me who Sherlock Moriarty is. Why does he want to protect me? It looks like it's a secret. What is it that can't be said? Many thoughts flash through my mind. Suddenly, I think of a possibility and blurt out, "That cult wants to harm me? Sherlock Moriarty is their archenemy?" That makes sense. Otherwise, I wouldn't believe that someone would send a female ghost to protect me for no reason, unless it's the police who serve the people. The female ghost in the mirror falls silent for 2 seconds before nodding indiscernibly. You can put it that way. At that moment, I feel a subtle change in her eyes, but I can't decipher what emotions are contained within them. Under normal circumstances, a person without any training would more or less reveal their emotions in their eyes. This would help me understand their attitude. But the entity right in front of me is a ghost. More importantly, the things that can be discerned through the eyes most of the time are the more intense fluctuations in emotions or unconcealed emotions. Not only is the female ghost in the mirror blurry, but she also has a mosaic over her. Furthermore, her emotions are very mild, almost as though she's emotionless. After pondering for a moment, I probe, which people around me are from the evil cult. The female ghost in a black dress opens her mouth. Her voice becomes increasingly ethereal as it turns weaker and weaker. Following that, a fine layer of snow appears on the surface of the mirror, just like an old television that has its reception hampered. The female ghost vanishes amidst the static. What happened? I'm not afraid of ghosts anymore, so why did the ghost disappear instead? Did something happen again? I turn wary and look around, but everything's normal. When I look back, the mirror has returned to its original state, reflecting my fearful and blank face. Splash! The water from the tap gushes out incessantly. Unconsciously, I grab my wet towel and wash my face. Nothing has changed. At the same time, I don't sense anything unusual. Yes, no matter what, I still have to brush my teeth. I force myself to stay calm. Since things are already like this, what's there to worry about? After brushing my teeth and wiping my mouth, I return to my room. The moment I enter, I feel an indescribable feeling. My eyes are drawn to my cell phone, which I have set on the computer table. It seems to be the source of all the abnormalities. Instinctively, I charge over, wanting to hurl the phone out of the window so it's far away from me. However, it's very expensive. I changed it not too long ago. I don't know if there's something wrong with it. I'm already an assassin, and there's the female ghost protecting me. What's there to be afraid of? I console myself, walk over, pick up my phone, and plaster my fingerprint on it. After unlocking the screen, the first thing I see is a message, "Sleeping with corpses has added you." In the next second, my cell phone darkens suddenly, and the lights around me seem to be attracted by this bottomless pit. They are all thrown into the pitch-black darkness. Before I can react, the faint light on my phone ripples, revealing a translucent face that's without any eyes, nose, or mouth. There's a ghost in your room. The mouth of the face opens and closes, revealing a long and bright red tongue. There are 5 slender fingers at the tip of the tongue, and embedded on the 2 sides are rows of irregular sharp teeth. Don't tell me you're not one too. I have the urge to give such a reply, but I hold myself back. Recalling the message I just read, I ask with a slightly trembling voice, "Mamda?" Impressive. She really is psychic and can control ghosts. Yes, I've already made some initial restrictions via the messenger. That ghost won't affect you tonight, and I won't have the chance to suck you dry. The translucent wobbles shook. I'll come personally tomorrow morning to deal with it. Give me the address. Tomorrow morning? I have work to do. I am thrown into a dilemma. CEO Huang wants me to pick up the VIP at the airport. If I stand him up, I will lose my job. Work? Is your boss beautiful? Madame de asks through the translucent face. He's a guy, I point out the truth. You like men? Madame de asks without pause. How is that possible? I deny it, amused and exasperated. Since that's not the case, why are you still in the mood for work even though you're haunted by ghosts? Or perhaps, you have a female colleague that you have a crush on? You can't skip a day of seeing her. Madame de scoffs. Can't it be because I'm poor? If I don't work, who will take care of me? I have a nagging feeling that I'm being led astray by Madame de. The conversation is filled with logical errors. Although I have some savings, it's not a lot, and I have to pay for the exorcism. Of course, I'm in the mood to work because the female ghost hasn't shown any malice. Madame Da's translucent face opens its mouth and says, "What about your family?" "They aren't well off," I answer frankly. How are your looks?" Madame de asks another strange question. "Average. I feel lost." "Height?" "A little over 1.7 meters." "Strong?" "Ordinary." "How big?" "Huh. How big is that thing of yours?" "Hey. It's like this, I can introduce you to some part-time work. The other party consists of rich and idle mature ladies. They value young people very much. They're willing to provide the necessary help and become friends with mutual benefits. Do you want to consider them?" The translucent face rambles on. "Auntie, am I just going to give up on my hard work?" I roughly understand what the other party was talking about. As long as you understand. The translucent, terrifying face lets out a suspicious laugh. "I don't plan on doing so," I say without hesitation. "I have my integrity." Madame de doesn't bother with the topic and instead says, "Then, when will you get off work tomorrow? Let's schedule an appointment." 9 in the evening. I include the possibility of working overtime. "Alright, give me the address. I'll contact you on QQ when the time comes." Madame Da's translucent face yawns. This lady's extraordinary performance has exceeded the limits of my knowledge, so I no longer have any doubts about her abilities. I immediately give her an address and ask, how much will it cost?" "The basic cost is 20,000 yuan. The price can go higher depending on the difficulty. If you can't afford it, you can consider the part-time job." Madame de is rather direct. I recall my savings and feel a wave of pain. What's the maximum it can go? Why don't I just forget it? Besides, the female ghost doesn't seem to have any ill intentions. "The highest it can go is 50,000 yuan, Madame de calmly says. 50,000, only 50,000? I'm surprised. The translucent face snorts. I'll give up missions that exceed 50,000. Money is nice, but I need to be alive to spend it. Okay. I see myself on the brink of bankruptcy. By the way, I'll give you a document. You can download it and read about how to get along with ghosts." The translucent face slowly slides back into the phone. Then I see Sleeping with Corpses send me a BitTorrent seed. I open it and realize that there are a few videos in it. They're quite large in size and are named 1, 2, and 3. Due to the seriousness of the matter, I don't hesitate and turn on my computer to download it. While I initiate the download, I start playing games to pass time. After a while, the download completes. I open the video file named 1. In just a few seconds, a title appears in front of me, A Chinese Ghost Story. On the glass window, a blurry female ghost wearing a long black dress appears. She holds her cheek with one hand and quietly stares at the computer screen. Chapter 14:13 In modern day 11, Madame de really has a sense of humor. It's a good thing that my broadband company doesn't charge based on data usage. I control the twitch in the corner of my lips and turn to look out the window. She's here again. A female ghost watching a Chinese ghost story. It feels weird. Since she doesn't show any malice and had pointed out the problem of the cult, while I lack the ability to fend off ghosts, assassins aren't capable of doing such things, I ask after some consideration, do you want to continue watching? I watched this movie a long time ago. There's no need for me to rewatch it. Besides, I still have to go to the airport to pick up the VIP tomorrow. I can't stay up all night. If I'm late or something goes wrong, I'll definitely have my salary deducted or maybe even get fired. Thankfully, I haven't taken any housing loans, or bought things on credit. I don't have any credit card payments and promissory notes to pay. Otherwise, I would have rejected Madame de just now and looked for someone cheaper. The female ghost on the glass window turns her head and looks at me. Will it affect your sleep? Just wear headphones. Don't worry about the light, I answer frankly. The female ghost nods and suddenly disappears from the window. Then, her figure appears on the screen, almost merging with the movie scene. At the same time, the sound of the computer speaker mutes, and the light on the screen dims. Impressive. As expected of a female ghost. I don't know why, but I feel that my fear of ghosts is decreasing. Thinking back to when I was young, I was often scared out of my wits by horror movies, yet, I couldn't help but secretly watch them, feeling both pain and happiness. I get up, switch off the light in the room, climb into bed, pull the duvet over me, and drape it over my chest. I close my eyes as I prepare to sleep. Vaguely, I feel like I've forgotten something. A minute later, I snap awake. I open my mouth and say, "Good night." As a successor of socialism, I have to be polite even when facing female ghosts. A few seconds later, an ethereal voice reverberates in my ears. Good night. With this done, I begin to sleep with ease. Not long after, I fall into a deep sleep. When I wake up, I realize that the sky is already bright. Sunlight passes through the curtains, scattering across my bed. Out of habit, I laze in bed for a few minutes, and slowly I become conscious. I sit up slowly. Turning my head instinctively, I see that the monitor screen has been switched off. However, the computer hasn't switched off. It's still blinking red. Did she leave after she was done watching? I gradually recover my memories from last night, like I've experienced a clear dream. Shaking my head, I pick up my cell phone to check the time. Fuck. I scramble up and dash to the bathroom. I'm almost late. If I were to mess things up, CEO Huang will skin me alive. He only treats pretty girls kindly. At that moment, there's no assassin, cult, female ghost, or medium to interfere with my thoughts. For humans, living takes the utmost priority. And the most important thing needed to live is to have money. After 5 minutes, I finish washing up and changing my clothes. I rush downstairs. Here, I have to thank my 2 roommates. They always sleep late and wake up late. They don't clash with the time when I need to use the bathroom. They don't delay my getting to work. Peng Dang had said before that the person he rented an apartment with in another city would always take hour-long baths in the morning, making him either have to wake up early or bring his toothbrush and towel to the office. I suddenly feel regret when I reach the staircase. I'm an assassin. I could have jumped from the 6th floor. This could have saved me plenty of time. However, there must be a lot of pedestrians outside at this point. If I dare go up the windowsill, they would probably call the cops. That would only waste more time. Without another thought, I jump down the more than 10 steps at a time, allowing me to quickly reach the ground floor. During this process, I even had the time to unlock my phone and hire a car to send me to the airport. I can make a claim for transportation expenses since it's for business. My luck isn't bad. Very soon, someone takes my request. Furthermore, he's nearby. After I rush out of the compound, a white peer-to-peer ride-sharing car stops in front of me in less than a minute. Perfect. As I heave a sigh of relief, I pull the door open and climb in. Airport. Okay. The driver is wearing a mask and has no habit of striking up a conversation. This is what I like. Just like I like having a mute for my haircuts. I glance at my phone again. After confirming that I still have time even if I encounter a traffic jam, I call the chauffeur and confirm that he's on his way to the airport. This driver isn't part of our company. He's from the local office branch that the foreign VIP is part of. In other words, there's no need for me to pick up Mr. Zarathustra as his own employee will be responsible for it. However, CEO Huang still sent me to receive him to show his sincerity. After making sure that everything is fine, I start using my phone. In the process, I see a joke post. Why is the person I'm seeing suddenly ignoring me? She insisted on going to my house to watch a movie yesterday. I still had to wake up early for work, so I got her to sit by the bed and watch it alone. I mock this guy and check the replies. About an hour later, the car arrives at the airport. Thankfully, I'm still early. I breathe a sigh of relief and give the driver a 5-star rating. Then, I open the flight schedule and confirm the arrival time. NH6567 landed at the alternate airport, Ningbei Airport, due to an engine malfunction. Holy shit, is this for real? I quickly call the other party's chauffeur. Hey, there's a problem with the flight. It was redirected to Ningbei. I'll immediately give Mr. Zarathustra a call and confirm if he will immediately make a domestic transfer or if he will come by high-speed rail. Or whether we should wait for tomorrow, the chauffeur says rather calmly. Okay, where are you? I'll come and meet you first. I'm having a headache just thinking that I might have to wait at the airport for a few more hours. After asking for the location of the car park, I walk all the way there and find the chauffeur. This driver is a foreigner with black hair and blue eyes. He had a mustache that isn't too thick, and he looks rather handsome. Hello? How do I address you? I ask as I approach. Previously, old AI only gave me a number and a Chinese name. Now, I would like to call him by his actual name. The driver nods and says, Mr. Zarathustra has already bought a ticket that will fly off in an hour. He will be here very soon. Please inform CEO Huang about the developments. Okay. I stifle my inner groan. This means that I might have to stay at the airport until noon. The chauffeur continues, my name is Rosigo. I'm a staff member from the Mr. Company. Your Chinese is very good. Which country are you from? I casually compliment as I comfort myself. France, Rosigo smiles and replies. Chapter 1414 In modern day 12 France is great. I had plans of politely complimenting his country, but perhaps because I'm used to lampooning, I almost blurt out, great at surrendering. I cough dryly and say no more, lest he finds Chinese-styled sense of humor unacceptable. After chatting for a while, I point in the direction of the airport. Mr. Zarathustra will take a few more hours before he arrives. Shall we head inside and have something to drink? Wine? Rosigo looks at me. No. I mean coffee, tea, cola, and so on. Don't drink and drive. I'm surprised that his first reaction towards the suggestion is wine. You're a professional chauffeur. Aren't you a little too rash? The foreigner, Rosigo, clearly didn't understand my humor. After thinking for a few seconds, he says, sorry, I woke up too early today and am still a little sleepy. I'll be sleeping in the car for a while. Okay. I secretly breathe a sigh of relief. Although I'm not against social interactions, and I'm even willing to be on good terms with people from a partnered company, I still feel a little uncomfortable thinking about having to spend a few hours with a stranger I'm not familiar with. Even if the other party were a beauty, this feeling wouldn't be any less. Yes, that's the case for me. Perhaps he shares the same thoughts. That's probably why he chose to sleep in the car. Returning from the parking lot to the airport, I randomly find an empty seat and sit down, not putting what I said about drinking something into practice. It all costs money. Based on my understanding of CEO Huang, he's quite generous. But at the same time, as the big boss, he wouldn't pay attention to the reimbursements of a mere employee. These sorts of trivial matters are usually handled by the finance department that follows a particular procedure. Therefore, if I waited until noon at the airport, I would definitely be able to claim the expenses for lunch, but I would have to bear the expenses for coffee, cola, tea, snacks, etc. Those are unnecessary expenses. Of course, if I could get Comrade Rosago to join me for the meal, then I would be able to claim such expenses, client entertainment. For this reason, when I invited him earlier, I was actually quite sincere. At least half of it was true. After sitting for a while and using my phone, I suddenly realize a serious issue: I hadn't had breakfast yet. I had left in a hurry this morning. As I listen to the rumbling of my stomach and feel my thirst and hunger, I decide to find something to eat. Food at the airport is expensive. Shall I look for KFC or McDonald's, or get some random slice of bread? I stand up and head to the side of the lobby. When I see the first shop that looks like it sells local delights, I turn in and look for food that's cost-efficient. My phone buzzes as I approach the frozen foods section. Hello, Mr. Rosago. What's the matter? I glance at the caller ID. Rosago's voice comes from the other end of the line. Ningbei is undergoing a thunderstorm. All flights are cancelled. Mr. Zarathustra will switch to using the high-speed railway. Isn't this fellow too unlucky? I'm amused yet helpless. Then shall we wait at the railway station? There's definitely more than enough time because the high-speed railway station is just below the airport. Even if Mr. Zarathustra couldn't buy a ticket to stop at this station, it would take a maximum of 90 minutes from the airport to the municipal high-speed railway station. It takes less time than the time it takes from Ningbei to this city. Wait a little longer. I'll wait for confirmation, Rosago replies calmly. As we speak, I see the door to the ice cabinet push open. A small, fair, fat hand reaches in and picks up a Baxi-branded white peach oolong-flavored ice cream. I trace this hand and see a child that looks around 1 year old. I have no clue regarding its gender. Sitting in a pram, its face is chubby and it cannot stop chirping. It's really adorable. Such a young child eating ice cream. The parents are so irresponsible. I gaze up at the adult pushing the pram, and find a gentle, beautiful woman. I have no intention of stopping them. It's none of my business. As long as they don't abuse the child, all I'll do is lampoon. However, is letting a 1-year-old eat ice cream a form of abuse? Anyways, the child appears quite happy. After hanging up the phone, I consider the possibility that we have to rush over to the high-speed railway station at any time. I simply make a choice, getting some packaged pastries and bottled water before paying for it at the cashier. Just as I find a place to sit down and quickly finish breakfast, Rosago calls again. The tickets for today's high-speed railway have been sold out. Mr. Zarathustra will have to stay there and come tomorrow. He sure is filled with bad luck. That's good too. I can head back directly. I don't have to wait until noon or head to the railway station. I tersely acknowledge. Then let's head back first. Yes, we'll come again tomorrow, Rosago says immediately. Come to the parking lot. I'll send you back. I'm returning to the city anyway. Sure, I reply with a smile. It's not that I'm saving money and being greedy. After all, I can also claim my travel expenses for my trip back. However, there's nothing wrong with having good relations with the employees of a partnered company at work. Even if I don't end up getting an additional order, it gives me another outlet for job hopping in the future. The only problem is how I'll get along with him later. It can be quite awkward if two unfamiliar people were to get together. Let's just talk about work. It's only about an hour anyway. I console myself. I leave the airport and find Rosago and his Mercedes. I get into the car and buckle my seatbelt. Before I can say anything, Rosago turns his head to give me a glance. Sit tight. Huh. I feel lost for a moment. The next second, the car starts and speeds off. Hey, 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 hey. This is still a parking lot. You're driving too fast. Ah. After a series of bends, the car slows down and exits the parking lot through the gantry. Then, the Mercedes continues to race. It swerves left and right on the road, taking up any empty spots. Not only is he on the verge of exceeding the speed limit, but he also shows no signs of stopping. On several occasions, I imagined that there would be a car accident, but with Rosago's control, the car nimbly avoids danger. Aren't you driving too fast? I ask, coming back to my senses and gulping. Don't worry. I used to be a racer, Rosago says as he looks ahead, his eyes bright. But isn't it too fast? This is a city road, not a racetrack. I lampoon nervously. I don't dare to say another word, afraid that Master Rosago would be distracted and might end up hitting a guardrail or harming the innocent. At this moment, I recall my ability as an assassin. I decide that if anything were to go wrong, would jump out of the car to seek refuge or forcefully control Rosago to stop the vehicle. 40 minutes later, the racing car stops outside the building where my company is located. Thank you. Thank you. My face is a little pale as I unbuckle the seatbelt. If it weren't for my abilities as an assassin and my outstanding balance, I definitely would have gotten carsick and puked all over the ground. You're welcome. See you tomorrow. Rosago waves with a smile. I exhale and bid the racer farewell. Entering the building, I glance subconsciously at the spot where the vending machine had appeared. It's empty. Fortunately. I head upstairs and press the up button. As I wait, I lower my head and straighten my clothes. Suddenly, a pair of long legs wearing leather boots walk over. Chapter 14:15 In modern day 13 I raise my head subconsciously and glance to the side. This instantly makes me feel a little uncomfortable. This isn't because the other party is a gorgeous beauty, but because she's CEO Huang's daughter. Miss Bernie Huang. This lady's eyebrows are straight, her nose high, and she wears a pair of blue-tint colored contacts. Together with her slightly curled hair that she dyed a chestnut color, she has a level of beauty belonging to foreigners. Seeing her look at me, I instinctively open my mouth to greet her. Miss Huang? No, that might bring about negative connotations. My lady, Miss Huang? It's too exaggerated, just like a brainless idle drama. Madam Huang? This clearly doesn't suit a young girl. She'll get angry. Teacher Huang? She's still a student. As my thoughts run through my mind, the young lady, Miss Bernie Huang, nods at me. Hello. Hello, I respond reflexively, using an honorific greeting. Is my dad in the office? Miss Huang asks softly. Oh, sorry. I don't know. I just came back from some work outside. I haven't stepped into the office yet, I answer honestly. Miss Huang nods slightly and doesn't say anything else because the lift we're waiting for has already reached the first floor. As the lift moves up, I try my best to find a topic to prevent the situation from being awkward, but I don't dare to strike up a random conversation. CEO Huang treasures his daughter very much. If I were to offend her by saying something wrong, I might be fired today. Zhou, at this moment, Miss Huang turns to look at me and says hesitantly, as if she's trying to recall my name. Zhou Mingrui. I hurriedly say my name. Although Miss Huang often comes to the office to help her mother check on her father, I believe that she definitely doesn't know a mere employee like me. To be able to have a slight impression of my surname means that her memory is beyond imagination. Mr. Zhou, I have something I need your help on. Miss Huang asks politely. No problem. As long as I can do it. I reply without hesitation. As long as Miss Huang is satisfied, a promotion and a pay raise would not be too far away. As we speak, we exit the elevator and enter the company. Help me translate a batch of documents for me. Bernie Huang walks in her leather boots as she says. Translate. What language is it? I ask hurriedly. Cursive script, Miss Huang replies simply. Cursive script. I haven't learned that before. Just as I'm about to answer, Miss Huang suddenly picks up her pace. We have already arrived outside CEO Huang's office. This lady doesn't give CEO Huang any face at all. She walks past the female secretary that is stationed outside, nimbly reaching out her hand and pushing open the door gently. Let's hope that CEO Huang isn't spreading his love early in the morning. I silently pray in my heart before taking an indiscernible step to the side in case I get embroiled in CEO Huang's family matters. Of course, I'm not that nervous either. After all, CEO Huang is experienced. If he were to do any sordid deeds in the office, he would definitely lock the door from the inside. As expected, there's no one in the office. CEO Huang is at a meeting. The female secretary stands up nervously and tells Miss Huang. I'll wait for him inside. Miss Huang nods and walks into the room. One step later, she turns her head and says, Mr. Zhou, please come in. All right. I walk over and quickly say, I don't have much knowledge about cursive script. Take a look first. Miss Huang stops by the door and says. When I enter, she casually closes the door. Then, she flips her sling bag and takes out a stack of paper. Try and see if you can read it. If possible, read it to me. Okay. I take the stack of papers from her. My whole body turns stiff from that cursory look. If I'm not wrong, the cursive script on the paper is from CEO Huang. I've seen the comments he had written on documents on several occasions. This is CEO Huang's diary? Damn, don't tell me he writes down every affair? Which decent person writes a diary? I can't help but sweat. If I read it, I offend CEO Huang. If I don't read it, I offend Miss Huang. What does it mean to be in a dilemma? This is what it means to be in a dilemma. Wait, I don't know cursive script. I can't read it. Although I can barely make out what CEO Huang has written, I really don't know any cursive script. I immediately open my mouth. Miss Huang, I can't. Before I finish, the office door is pushed open. Thud. CEO Huang rushes in and he scans the both of us with his widened eyes. He retracts his gaze from the gap between me and Miss Huang, and he smiles. Bibi, why didn't you give me a call? I could have gone down to bring you up. I'm already of age. Miss Huang glances at me from the corner of her eye. I'm just making a request to Mr. Zhou for his help. I immediately understand her intention. Secretly, I pull the documents behind my back. Call him Uncle Zhou. CEO Huang smiles as he emphasizes. Then, he turns his head to look at me. You may leave. I'll holler if there's anything. Okay. I use this opportunity to leave the office and return to my seat, where I hide the papers. Before I can switch on the computer, Roseanne leans in and says with a suppressed voice, "You're finished." I stare blankly. Don't you know that CEO Huang dotes on his daughter to the point of having an obsession? He hates seeing other men get close to his daughter the most. During Miss Huang's past few visits, the men who took the initiative to offer their help have either quit or transferred to a branch company at a Tier 3 city, Roseanne said with a chuckle. It can't be. I was just in proximity to her. I mainly did so because I wanted to please CEO Huang. I grit my teeth from hearing that. TSK, don't you know what kind of man CEO Huang is? In his eyes, all men are the same as him. If one has money, they'll definitely be playing around, loving everyone they see, making love to everyone they see. If one doesn't have money, then they'll seduce the rich and beautiful lady, take up the post of CEO, and elevate themselves to the peak point of life. Therefore, in the eyes of men like you, Miss Huang is the most tempting of prey, Roseanne said half-jokingly. It's just that Miss Huang asked me for help. I wasn't playing around at all. I feel wronged. You really weren't playing around? Roseanne casually asks. Of course. I immediately raise my fingers in an oath. Think about it. To develop and maintain a relationship, you'll need about 2 to 3 hours a day, right? If it's 2 relationships, it'll take 4 to 5 hours. There are 7 hours for sleep every night, an hour's nap in the afternoon, 9 hours of work, and 3 meals which add up to an hour. That's already 18 hours, leaving only 6 hours left in a day. If I were playing around and tried to two-time, I wouldn't have the time to play games, watch videos, or read novels. How tiring, how boring. Makes sense, Roseanne slowly nods before saying with a smile, right now, you need a book on time management. Before I can answer, she continues, but how does CEO Huang manage to end time so many women? He's different. If it's just one partner, then he might take 1 hour out of his 2 to 3 day schedule to maintain the relationship, I answer thoughtfully. Roseanne tersely acknowledges. That's right. CEO Huang is different from us. He's handsome and rich, sigh. Roseanne and I sigh at the same time. Roseanne, who's quite the gossip monger, suddenly shrinks back. Old AI is here, I'll be returning to my seat first. Just as Roseanne leaves, CEO Huang's person in charge, the corporate office's director AI appears and stops in front of me. He's already old. His hair is completely white, and his face is pale. Send everything you need to claim today to finance. You don't have to receive Mr. Zaratulstra anymore, old AI says to me as I hurriedly stand up, no way. They're firing me already? I'm going to get a month's severance pay? I'm momentarily stunned. Old AI passes me a document and continues, liaise with the members involved in this project. It's a project the company is working on with the police. Oh. The turn of events is too sudden that I don't know how to respond. Realizing that I don't have to ride with Rosago tomorrow, I have the baffling feeling that it might not be a bad idea. Chapter 14:16 In modern day 14 After finding the project team and gaining an understanding of the situation, I spend quite a bit of time organizing the information. I also leave the company at 3 in the afternoon, preparing myself to head towards the city's police station to visit the staff in charge. After leaving my company's building, I take out my phone, open my ride-sharing app, and submit my destination. Since it's not the evening rush hour, I get a driver in just a few seconds. He's in the vicinity, 1 minute. I glance at the notification and am very pleased that I don't need to wait too long. 1 minute passes quickly, but as I look left and right, I don't see the license plate that I remember. Suspecting that I've misremembered, I hurriedly unlock my phone to confirm the situation. At this moment, I heard the chiming of a bicycle bell. I subconsciously look up and see a green-orange bicycle. Sitting on the bicycle is a young man wearing a dark baseball cap and a thin black coat. Ring! 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 The bicycle stops in front of me as the man extends his right foot to support the bicycle against the ground. His forehead is wide and his face is thin. His short black hair is slightly curled, and his eyes are darker than an ordinary person's, close to pure black. His biggest characteristic was that, like a cosplayer, he wore a crystal monocle on his right eye. Holding the bicycle's handle with one hand, the man adjusts his monocle with the other. He smiles at me and says, "You were the one who requested a ride?" "I did, but I requested a car, not a bicycle." I open my mouth, unsure if I should answer. At that moment, I even underwent existential questions: who I am. Where am I? Where am I going? "You're going to the police station, right?" The young man with the monocle didn't care that I didn't respond as he asked with a smile. "No way. Is there really an option for getting a bicycle? And I selected it somehow?" I slowly nod. At this moment, there are only two clear thoughts in my mind: should I take a photo or video to post on my moments? Should I call the customer service to complain? At that moment, the young man wearing the monocle points to the side of the building and says, "Wait another minute, my car is parked there." As he speaks, he takes out his phone and waves it. Huh. I still don't understand what's happening. The young man presses the edge of his monocle and smiles. "I did something in the nearby alley just now. I couldn't drive through, and the distance to walk here was a little far, so I rented a shared bike. I'm sorry, please wait a minute or two. Since the other party has already said so and I'm not in a rush." I politely reply, "It's fine." The young man immediately puts away his phone and rode his bicycle to the side of the building. Soon, a white car drives over and stops in front of me. "All right, you can board it now." The car window rolls down, revealing the face with the monocle. Just as I'm about to open the car door, I suddenly realize a problem: the car displayed on the app is black. I'm just about to walk to the back to look at the car plate when the driver waves his phone at me across the passenger seat. I have two cars. I'm driving this car today, but I bound my account to the other one. Look, my phone is right. With that, he calls me. Seeing that the number displayed isn't a problem, and considering how I've encountered similar situations before, I'm relieved. I open the car door and get in. It's broad daylight in a bustling city. What is there to be afraid of? However, the reviewing and verifications undertaken by the platform are really problematic. When I get into the car, the driver with a monocle looks ahead as he picks up a cigarette box and hands it back. "Want a cigarette? Isn't smoking banned?" I blurt. "As long as I don't mind it." The thin driver smiles through the rearview mirror. "I don't smoke." I instinctively shake my head. The driver holds the steering wheel with one hand, not really paying attention to the situation on the road. "It's good that you don't smoke." I don't smoke either. Smoking causes one to have a ghastly appearance. "Then why do you have cigarettes?" I follow up quickly. As the car drives down the road, the driver uses his empty hand to touch the monocle on his right eye. "There will always be some friends you need to meet despite you being unwilling to meet." "That's true." I nod. At this moment, I recall Vice President Wu from the company next door. Although he smokes, his appearance is definitely not ghastly. However, there's no need to say it out loud. I'm not someone who gets into debates with others in a professional manner. "You don't look like a rideshare driver." I glance at the obviously expensive cigarettes, and glance around the luxurious interior of the car. "Heh," the driver replies with a smile. "Is my performance that obvious? You don't look like you make a living from ride-sharing. You look like you come from a rich family." I give a random reason. Either way, I can't tell. Heh, being born with a silver spoon doesn't bar me from making a living from ride-sharing. It allows me to experience a completely different life from my past, and being able to see all kinds of unique people is a form of entertainment. "Don't you find it interesting?" the driver says with a smile. How philosophical. I nod and casually say, that may be the case, but I think you occasionally only take a few ride orders and are usually busy with other things. Yes, I went to your building to investigate. The driver looks at the rearview mirror again, and his smile makes me feel a little strange. Investigate, I'm at a loss. It's about an evil cult. They like to use vending machines to harm others. The corner of the driver's lips curls up. If it wasn't for the fact that I already knew about it, I would have lost my composure. You're a private detective? Do you know a detective named Sherlock Moriarty? This might be his nickname. I suddenly have an idea. The driver raises his hand to pinch the edge of his monocle and chuckles. Of course. We're old friends. I don't know if it's my imagination, but I feel like he emphasized the words, old friend. Did you, or any of you find anything? I try my best to act like a bystander. The driver half turns his head to glance at me and says with an obvious smile, guess. That's such a punchable smile. I rein in my emotions. I guess so. Then it's as you say, the driver says with an expression of, I know a lot, but I won't tell you. As I think about what to say, he suddenly straightens his back and looks ahead. Then, he pushes the monocle on his right eye. Suddenly, countless fragments appear in my mind. Overlapping roads, tunnels, mixed colors, different signboards, pedestrians, cars that swept backwards rapidly. They simultaneously explode in my mind at the same time, making me feel like I'm suffering from motion sickness. We're here. The driver's voice enters my ears the next second. I get out of the car in a daze and squat down at the side of the road, feeling like I might vomit at any moment. I recover after a while, but the ride-sharing car has already left. Thinking back, I suddenly shudder. The driver resembled the emoji that the star had mentioned. Chapter 14:17 In modern day 15 No way. Is the driver related to the monocle incident that the star mentioned? He's been corrupted, or is he the source of corruption? Wait, why did I use the word corruption? At that moment, I feel like my heart stopped beating for 2 seconds. I forget my stupor as I quickly check my belongings. My phone is still here. My keys are still here. My travel card is still here. My 7 yuan change is still here. My shoes are still here, my pants are still here, my clothes are still here, and my body is still here. Phew. I didn't lose anything. Nothing happened. I heave a sigh of relief. I feel as though I was just overthinking things. People just love to scare themselves. Since I've already taken out my phone, I take a look at the time. 3:25 p.m. That driver drove really fast, 5 to 6 minutes earlier than the estimated time on the app. No wonder I got motion sickness. I gain a new understanding of the situation. So that's what happened. However, I keep having the feeling as though I wasn't in the car for more than 15 minutes, and that we didn't exchange many words. Maybe it was due to the motion sickness I experienced towards the end of my journey, probably. I raise my head, get my bearings, and head for the eye-catching police station. It's a compound with several buildings inside. 2 fully armed police officers stand guard at the entrance. At this moment, I suddenly think of a problem. I connect it to a question from my prior inspection of my personal belongings. I didn't bring a paper notebook or pen. Of course, this isn't a result of my negligence. It's just that I'm used to using my cell phone to record matters. If it were something grander in scale, or in a more professional setting, I would bring a notebook computer. I haven't used a paper notebook in the last 2 years. In a work environment like a police station, the leaders in charge of matters definitely can't stand the situation of someone holding a cell phone and tapping on it during business exchanges. That's not polite at all. When dealing with them, it's better to be more conservative and traditional. I'll first find a stationery shop, buy a pen, buy a notebook, and then go in. Heh, in a business environment, putting on an act is also a skill. I immediately look around to find my target. At times like this, I'll always praise my habit of leaving some buffer time. This gives me enough time to not be in a rush, and allows me to be calm. The leader in charge of the project and I agreed to meet at 4 p.m, so I have 35 minutes of spare time. Normally speaking, taking a taxi from the company to this place would take about 20 minutes. With the series of actions like going downstairs, waiting for the ride, and entering the compound, the total time required is about 35 minutes. I set off at 3 p.m, giving myself plenty of buffer time to arrive at the scheduled time of 3:45 p.m., but considering the possibility of traffic jams, registrations, inspections, and unknown accidents, I ultimately scheduled the appointment to be at 4 p.m. To my surprise, the driver with the monocle drove so fast that I arrived ahead of time. I don't find any stationery stores despite looking around. I hurriedly take out my phone and use the map app to search for a nearby store. The nearest stationery store is 2 kilometers away. Get a rideshare to go over? Just as I'm hesitating, I suddenly see a small shop on the opposite side of the road. Star Dream Provision Store. Provision store, maybe there's stationery. I'll go take a look first. There's no need to get a rideshare. Star Dream. It feels like a celebrity management agency. I quickly make up my mind and quicken my pace. Taking advantage of the flashing green light, I cross the pedestrian crossing. Soon, I arrive at the Star Dream Provision Store. The restaurant is very cramped, and the lighting isn't good. It's rather dim inside, giving me the feeling of going from afternoon to evening instantly. Lining both sides of the store are shelves that are about 1.8 meters tall. The items placed on the shelves are dazzling, but they all look rather strange. The cashier is right at the back where a woman in a black dress sits at the back. She has her back against 2 wooden cabinets and is facing a tablet computer. She's playing with her phone. There's an ancient serial drama playing on the tablet computer, adding a bit of life to the dark shop. However, it's obvious that the cashier is only listening to the sounds with zero concern about the content. This store's design is illogical, and the boss isn't meticulous. If I were a thief, I could take a few items and turn around to leave. She wouldn't be able to discover it at all. I lampooned silently before walking to the cashier and rapped the wooden counter thrice. "Hello, do you have a notebook and pen?" I'm referring to a paper notebook. The woman in a black dress looks up and replies with a smile, "Yes, we do. Over there." Her voice is very gentle, calming me down instantly. Her looks are pretty good. Even the dark environment can't mask her beauty. Without taking another look, I trace the shop owner's finger and look towards the corner of the third rack of the shelf on the right. There is something that appears to be a notebook there, but its design is very strange, as if it's made of brass pages. This is a notebook. I reach for the brass book. It feels cold to the touch, as if it's made of metal. However, there is indeed paper inside. Yes. The shop owner in a black dress says with a calm smile, "My shop's theme is mystery. All the products in this area have this characteristic. Product differentiation strategy." This phrase flashes across my mind. At the same time, I survey my surroundings and see an antique quill, a silver mirror with black eyeballs on both sides, and a few dice of different shapes, too many to count. Mirror. I subconsciously pick up the mirror with my other hand. I want to confirm my current condition. I can't look terrible just because of my motion sickness and have it affect the business exchange later. The mirror quickly reflects my face: black hair, brown eyes, deep facial features, hard lines. Damn, when did I become so handsome? I can't believe that I'm the one in the mirror. After being stunned for 2 seconds, I quickly put down the brass notebook, take out my phone, and use the screen to examine myself. This is very normal. It's still my original appearance. I turn my head to look at the mirror again. I'm still very handsome in the mirror. What's going on with this mirror? I can't help but ask. The woman in the black dress smiles. This is a smart mirror. Ah, I understand. I suddenly understand. It's a smart mirror with its own beautifying features, filters, and Photoshop effects. To put it simply, it's actually a special tablet that's directly connected to TikTok and Beautycam apps. With this in mind, I lose interest and immediately place the mirror back in its original position. For some reason, I feel like the mirror is a little sticky. I use a lot of strength to retract my hand. How much is this notebook? And this quill? I don't waste any time. I pick up the brass notebook again and ask for the price. The boss in a black dress purses her lips and chuckles. 10 million. Pfft. I almost spit on her face. The two of these are antiques, the boss added. Is there anything that isn't an antique? Something more normal? I take a deep breath and ask directly. Yes. The woman in the black dress points behind me. I turn around and see a black, ordinary notebook. I pick it up and flip through it. I'm certain that the surface of the notebook is made of hard paper. The paper inside is an imitation of goatskin. One of the pages is painted with the fool, who's wearing gorgeous clothes and dazzling head accessories. With the fool as my online nickname, how can I not recognize the fool? How much is it? I ask casually. 30 yuan, the boss replies with a good attitude. It's a little expensive. What about this pen? I casually pick up another dark red, classic fountain pen. 25 yuan. If you buy both of them, you can have them for 50 yuan, the boss in the black dress says with a smile. I hesitate for a few seconds and feel that 50 yuan isn't an unacceptable price compared to traveling 2 kilometers by taxi. Not only is it a waste of time, but the transport cost would be around 20 yuan. Including the cost of the notebook and pen, it would be about 30 to 40 yuan. Okay. I take out my phone and complete the transaction. After leaving the Star Dream Provision store and returning to the police station, I register at the guardhouse. During this process, a police car drives out. Is there an emergency mission? The policeman on duty asks. While waiting for the barrier to rise, the driver replies indifferently, "Damn it, a car thief appeared. He stole 2 sedan cars." Chapter 14:18 In modern day 16 stole 2 sedan cars in a row. This is probably a crime syndicate. How can one person drive 2 cars? I can't help but mutter inwardly. This is the cultivation I've gone through as a fan of courtroom dramas and detective series, as well as me being a loyal reader of crime deduction novels. Of course, I don't say it out loud. I believe that people with standard intelligence can come to a similar conclusion. When the guard on duty calls to confirm my identity, I take out my phone and check the time. There's more than enough time. I let out a sigh of relief as I unhurriedly circle around the pond in the middle of the courtyard and enter the building facing the main entrance. After I run through the possible exchange in my mind, I knock on the door of the target's office 3 minutes early. "Please come in." A mellow voice sounds from inside. "Oh, Officer Deng." As soon as I push open the door and enter, I realize that the officer sitting behind the desk is the one who had come to check on my residence permit. I always imagined that he's a police officer at the police station, but I never expected him to have an office at the Municipal Public Security Bureau. He even has the room to himself. "You are?" Officer Deng raises his hand to comb his receding hairline and asks with a puzzled look, "Do we know each other? Last night, you checked on my residence permit and reminded me of a mysterious cult. Later, we met again in Lawson. I even reported a woman suspected to be a member of the cult. I begin to suspect that the person in front of me is Officer Deng's biological brother, but I still give the details. Officer Deng is enlightened. Zhou Mingrue, right? I'm face-blind, and I don't have a good memory. It was night, so I couldn't see clearly. I don't need you to tell me that your memory isn't good or how you have face blindness. I can tell. I politely smile. Today, I'm representing the Intis group to take over the previous project. Yes, we agreed to meet at 4. Officer Deng points at the chair opposite his desk. I immediately approach it and plan on placing the black notebook that I just bought on the table. I will then flip it to the middle. I can't let Officer Deng notice that I just bought it and have never written on it. Officer Deng glances at the notebook and frowns slightly. Following that, he picks up the phone and dials an internal department number. Hey, the Intis group is here. Come over for a meeting. After a simple briefing, he puts down the phone and smiles at me. This is an international collaboration project. We can't decide on our own. Yes, the other party's representative will be here soon. I'm aware of that. I've read the relevant documents in the morning and know what's going on. Of course, even if I'm lazy and didn't read it, I'll still have given such an answer. I can't let the partner I'm working with find out that I'm skiving and not doing my job well. Not long after I sit down, I hear Officer Deng's office door open. I stand up politely and look back. I see an old man in a long black robe. His hair is white, and the wrinkles at the edge of his eyes and mouth are deeply recessed. His dark red eyes appear slightly turbid. A red moon pendant hangs on his chest. He looks like a priest from a cathedral. A foreign priest. I nod with a smile, fully displaying my courtesy. For some reason, I find this old man a little familiar, just like the first time I met Officer Deng. Strange. Recently, I've been feeling sad for some inexplicable reason. Is this the after effect of the assassin beverage? I silently inhale and control my emotions. At that moment, Officer Deng introduces Old Neil, an Interpol representative, a clergyman. Hello, Mr. Neil. I quickly greet him. Old Neil doesn't speak. He sizes me up and chuckles. Lad, have you been troubled by ghosts recently, you can tell? I'm shocked. I don't know if I should admit it or hide it from a stranger. Don't lie. My eyes are very sharp. Old Neil smiles and points at his eyes. A little, I mutter. Ha. Old Neil immediately laughs. You're still too young. You confessed the moment I called you out. Actually, I'm not that sure. Yes, I'm a priest. I have the ability to expel wraiths and shadows. Do you need my help? Is it okay to discuss such feudal superstitions in front of a police officer? I open my mouth, speechless. Old Neil walks to Officer Deng's table and very naturally picks up the coffee can on it. Don't worry. I don't charge much. If you're still a believer of the goddess, I can even do it for free. I wasn't a believer of the goddess in the past, but I am now. At this moment, my heart is palpitating. I hesitate for 2 seconds before sighing. But, I've already found a helper. Who is it? There aren't many people with such abilities. Most of them are cheats. Old Neil skillfully brews his coffee and asks casually. Daly, do you know her? I ask hesitantly. Daly. Ah, then that's fine. Old Neil retracts his smile and asks, are you the representative of the Intis group? Let's begin. At the same time, Officer Deng shakes his head with a smile, looking helpless. You know Madame Daly? I ask. Old Neil sighs and points at Officer Deng. His fiancée. Oh, everyone knows each other. I can't help but sigh. This boosts my confidence in Madame Daly. I stop chatting and begin communicating with Officer Deng and Old Neil about the project, taking note of their requests. An hour passes. Yawn. Old Neil stretches his back. It's finally over. These old bones of mine really can't withstand the torment of such meetings. I no longer have the energy. With that said, he stands up and smiles at me and Officer Deng. It's time for me to retire. It's time for me to leave. I'll go to a faraway village. I'll grow some flowers, feed the chickens, and play the piano for my wife. I don't have to worry about things here anymore. Officer Deng stands up as well. As he sends Old Neil out, he smiles and says, "Let's go together." As I watch them leave, I suddenly feel speechless. Chapter 14:19 In modern day 17 it's not even 5:30, and I can get off work normally again. I've already composed myself by the time when I walk out of the police station, feeling happy that I don't have to work overtime today. Before I left in the afternoon, I communicated with the administration department and was told that I didn't need to return to the company. After all, we didn't know how long the meeting would take. What if Officer Deng got me to stay for dinner, sing some karaoke, and enjoy a spa, right? Although the probability of this happening is low, even if it wouldn't happen to me, I still have to be prepared. The distance from the old estate where my rented apartment is to the police station is shorter than it is from my company, but I still chose to take public transport, because the company doesn't reimburse the transportation fees for returning home. Metro line 3,600 meters. Bus 72, 150 meters. I take out my phone and search for a route home. After careful consideration, I choose to take the bus. The weather is hot in the summer, so it's best if I can minimize the steps taken. As I wait at the bus stop for the bus, I can't help but doubt my life. I'm already a real, powerful, and extraordinary assassin. Why do I have to live like a slave of society? But I can't get any money without work. Assassins also need to save money to buy a house, food, and clothes. Sigh, at times like this, it should be like a game. Give me an assassin manager and help me gather missions. After confirming how evil my target is, I'll shave my head and flash through the crowd. No, being bald is too ugly. Forget it. What can I do? Record videos of extreme sports? I still have to practice and learn. I've never paid attention to it before. Actually, I can consider joining the police academy. As an assassin, I'm capable of capturing thieves and scammers. I won't disappoint with my abilities. The only problem is that I've heard that a policeman's income isn't too high. Perhaps it's better after the probation period? As I seriously consider the future, I board the bus. I hold the handle and notebook with one hand, and I pull out my phone with the other. I'm a refined person. I definitely won't blast out any sounds in public. I don't have wireless earphones, so I can only browse Weibo and Hupu, an online sports community website. As the bus drives, it suddenly stops. The driver's voice sounds from the speaker. Get off the bus. There's a malfunction. Wait for the next one. The passengers curse as they get out of the bus. I'm among them as I sigh at my bad luck today. There's only one stop left. There's no need to wait. I'll just walk back. I open the map app and confirm my current location. If I knew this would happen, I might as well have taken the subway. I follow the GPS, walking straight, taking a bend, crossing the street, to the old estate I live in. At this moment, I see a 5 or 6-year-old girl jump out from the roadside, and an SUV is speeding over. I'm stunned at first, but then I realize that I'm an assassin, an expert that surpasses ordinary people. Without any hesitation, I run towards the girl. Seeing that I might not make it in time, I exert strength into my legs and kick out, relying on my assassin's ability to unleash all of my strength in one strike to pounce forward. During this process, I feel like a sharp arrow that had been shot from a bow. In the blink of an eye, I lunge for the little girl and hug her. Then, I straighten my back and quickly adjust my body structure, making myself as light as a feather. The SUV finally stops. I take a few steps to the side and steady myself. To be honest, I was hit, but because I made myself seemingly weightless, I didn't suffer any damage. "Are you alright?" The SUV driver gets out of the car and frantically asks. His face is drenched in sweat. "I'm fine. It was a close one." I put down the dazed little girl and pat her shoulder. She has long, jet-black hair which makes her qualified to be a model in a shampoo commercial. That's good, that's good." The SUV driver is relieved to see that I didn't dirty or injure myself. At this moment, a middle-aged man rushes out from the side of the road. When he sees that the little girl is fine, he's obviously relieved. His skin is bronze in color and he has soft facial features. He has a pair of eyes that are closer in color to brown. They appear to have been through a lot. Thank you, thank you. Are you okay?" he asks, concerned. "No, my luck isn't bad. I just happened to avoid the collision," I reply with a smile, inexplicably in a good mood. I've finally used the ability belonging to an assassin. The SUV driver points at his license plate. "Contact me if you have any problems. I still have something to do, so I'll be leaving first." The middle-aged man nods before saying to me, "Why don't you come to my shop to have a drink to calm yourself down?" For some reason, I feel a sense of closeness with him. And since it's free, I don't reject him. Okay. As I speak, I pick up the black notebook. After leaving the road and passing through the non-motorcar lane, I see this gentleman's shop. This is a themed bookstore. It's renovated to look like a coffee shop. The other door leads to a nearby park with a wooden swing hanging on it. Don't wander around in the future. It's very dangerous. Come on, thank Uncle. The bookstore owner pulls the little girl over. Call me brother. Don't make me sound so old, I joke. Thank you, brother. The little girl follows his instructions. Without waiting for my reply, she cleverly says, "Then my father is your elder." Damn, did I just get taken advantage of? I can only smile helplessly. The bookstore owner immediately asks, "What would you like to drink?" A cold beverage would do. I'm not a picky eater. Okay. The bookstore owner points at the surrounding bookshelves and says, "You can also pick a book to read." Okay. As he mixes the cold beverage, I curiously walk to the bookshelf to see what's on it. Grosel's Travels Book of Secrets. Rosel and his 100 Mistresses. The Self-Cultivation of Evil Gods. How to Make the Believers Offer Money. What kind of books are these? I'm stunned as I read them. Finally, I choose the seemingly normal Grosel's Travels. Just as I find a seat and sit down, the bookstore owner walks over with a glass. The drink is brownish-red in color, and there's quite a few pieces of ice in it. After drinking it in one gulp, it's slightly sour and sweet. It's cold and very refreshing. Great for the summer. Not bad, I praise. The boss doesn't say anything else and returns to the cashier. I then leisurely lean back in my chair and flip through Grosel's Travels. From time to time, I take a mouthful of the cold beverage, feeling very pleased. After a while, the girl runs to the back door and shouts, "Daddy, Daddy, I want to sit on the swing." The bookstore owner sighs and walks over with a smile. I smile and take another sip of my drink. I can't help but sigh. An afternoon like this is really nice. Chapter 14:20. In modern day 18. Having had half a day to spare, I stay in the bookstore until it's almost 7. During this time, I can't refuse the owner's repeated offers. I reluctantly take a small slice of lemon cake, a set of pasta with minced meat, and 2 grilled sausages that had been battered and fried with spicy chicken powder. I don't need dinner. I rub my belly and decide to take a walk home. This helps with digestion. The only problem is that the weather is hot and stuffy. If I walk in this weather for a while, I'll definitely sweat. However, ever since I entered society, I've always had the habit of taking a shower every day. And today, I'm also preparing to wash some clothes, so I'm not too averse to sweating. To my surprise, perhaps because of the assassin beverage, I managed to passively lose weight. I don't even have a tummy. Furthermore, I'm good at using the shadows to hide myself. When I return to my rented apartment, I've only sweated a fifth of what I expected. That medium lady, Madame Daly, will be here at 9. There's still about 2 hours left. With more than enough time, I decide to use the fan after my shower, and to play some games. As for using the air conditioner, the weather isn't too hot. Besides, after becoming an assassin, I feel that I have a strong tolerance for heat and stuffy conditions. To be honest, this cannot be considered unbearable. It's just that I don't really feel that hot and stuffy. When I enter the bathroom, I glance at the mirror and suddenly think of a question. That female ghost was introduced by Detective Sherlock Moriarty to protect me and investigate that mysterious cult. She hasn't shown any intention of harming me. Should I remind her that I've found a medium, so she should hide in advance? She doesn't have any ill intentions. She's very friendly. Besides, my reason for dealing with that mysterious cult is reasonably convincing. She must have sensed Madame Daly's power last night. Even if I don't tell her, she should be able to guess what will happen next. I think for a moment and make up my mind. However, a new problem rears its head. How should I warn her? I don't even know where she is or how I should contact her. Looking around, I can't find any clues. It seems like I'm the only person in the room. Yes, there's only one person, but who knows if there are any ghosts. Perhaps she's hiding somewhere and I can just talk to the air. It's rather silly talking to myself. I recall last night and cast my gaze back at the mirror. Looking at my reflection in the mirror, I whisper, I've hired a medium. She'll be here at 9. As soon as I finish speaking, the mirror in front of me turns dark, as if the surrounding light had been sucked in. The pale female ghost wearing a small bonnet and a retro dress appears in the mirror and nods gently. Thank you. In a second, her image disappears and the mirror returns to normal. I heave a sigh of relief and hang up my clothes before I start to take a shower. As I shower, I suddenly freeze. Since the female ghost has already left, why am I spending so much money to hire a medium? The female ghost clearly has no ill intentions, and she's even secretly protecting me. Why would I spend so much money to hire a medium? That's 20,000 yuan, with a maximum of 50,000. Wouldn't that be a waste of money? While taking pity on my wallet, I feel the need to think of a way to cancel the contract. Anyways, it's still early. As long as Madame Daly doesn't live in the suburbs, she probably hasn't set off yet. But I can't be sure that the female ghost doesn't have any ill intentions. In my hesitation, I wipe myself dry and put on my clothes. After careful consideration, I decided to use the strategy of delaying things to hold back on the exorcism assignment. During this process, if I discover something amiss, I'll immediately get Madame Daly to come over. Sigh, it's really embarrassing to break a contract. I return to my room, pick up my phone, and send a message to Sleeping with Corpses. Madame Daly, the ghost that is haunting me seems to have left. This is the truth, but I didn't explain why. Indeed, after more than 10 seconds, Madame Daly replies, could it be that the restrictions I did last night scared her away? Or maybe you were too much of a pervert and scared her away. Didn't I ask you to watch a Chinese ghost story and learn how to interact with female ghosts? I feel that it's more likely that a Chinese ghost story will make the female ghost shy. I didn't dare reply as I cautiously say, I don't know. How about this? Don't come over today. I'll keep an eye out for a few more days. If the female ghost really doesn't appear again, then forget it. If there's any problem, I'll let you know again. How about that? After some hesitation, I add, I can reimburse you for your preparations. No, I mean pay a reasonable fee. Let's do this for now. I thought I could catch a female ghost and play with it. Madame Daly sends an emoji. Hearing this, I relax. I feel like I've earned a huge sum of money. After settling this matter, I happily play games. At 11 o'clock, I decided to go downstairs to buy some delicious food to reward myself as I didn't spend any money for dinner and didn't have to pay for the exorcism. Eggplants, I have to have roasted eggplants, I mutter as I rush out of the estate. Before I can choose the barbecue stall, I see those punks again. Among them, the hooligan nicknamed Danny is seriously handing out flyers. His dyed, charred yellow hair, eyebrows, and his introduction of the description of tutoring class form a strong contrast. This tutoring class is interesting. I glance around and see an acquaintance sitting at the barbecue stall on the right. Miss Bernie Huang. How is a rich young lady like her eating at a roadside barbecue stall? Does CEO Huang know? I casually size up Miss Huang's companion. If it was a guy, that would be amazing gossip. A girl wearing black-framed glasses. She's not too old, about the same age as Miss Huang. I feel full of regret and was about to retract my gaze. At this moment, Miss Huang raises her head and looks over. At this moment, our eyes meet. She immediately stands up and walks towards me. This is a little awkward. However, there's nothing to feel awkward about. I live nearby, so what's wrong with coming out to eat some barbecue? I stand my ground and wait for Miss Huang and her friend to come over. Miss Huang stops in front of me and tersely acknowledges my presence. I have something I need your help with. The girl in black-framed glasses beside her asks curiously, Father, who is he? Pfft. What kind of address is that? The relationship between youngsters nowadays is so complicated. I'm actually at a loss as to how to respond. I can only force the corners of my mouth to curl up as I express my doubts with a smile. We had a bet in our dorm. Whoever lost had to address the winner as father, Miss Bernie Huang explains. She points at the girl beside her. Her family runs a tutoring class. I would like you to register for the dream tutoring classes and sit in for their classes. I'll pay for it. I'll also pay you a fee for the work you do later. Register for the tutoring class. I can't help but turn my head to look at the hooligans who are seriously handing out flyers. Chapter 1421 In modern day 19, why don't you sign up for it yourself? I don't really want to get involved in Miss Huang's matters. On the one hand, CEO Huang is both a playboy, but he also has a daughter complex. His thoughts go astray the moment he sees any man getting close to Miss Huang. Alarm bells would go off in his head and he would overreact. Considering how it's a rather good source of income for me, I don't want to lose my job over this. Yes, although I've been working overtime for quite a while, I'm still paid enough for overtime work. CEO Huang has always been generous in terms of remuneration. On the other hand, attending a tutoring class is so troublesome. If I have the time, wouldn't it be better to spend my time on something else? Of course, if it's just a scout for information, and I don't have to spend my own money, then I can do anything I like while attending the class as long as it doesn't affect the students around me. Miss Bernie Huang points at the girl in black-framed glasses and says, her family's company and this company are competitors, and they know each other. Regardless of whether it's her or her staff at the tutoring center, they definitely won't be able to sign up for it. You can, I discover a blind spot. Miss Huang shakes her head. I can't either. The boss and part-time lecturer of this tutoring center knows me. You're kidding. I subconsciously ask. Miss Huang glances at the group of hooligans who are handing out flyers and says, "She's Uncle AI's granddaughter." Director AI. I laugh. This is friendly fire, conflicts are rising between people on the same side. Without waiting for Miss Huang and her daughter to speak, I sincerely give a suggestion. To be honest, why do you need someone to attend their tutoring classes? You can all work together. Everyone can establish an indirect relationship. You invest in me, and I'll invest in you. Wouldn't a merger be better? Only by becoming larger and stronger will you be able to fight against other tutoring center chains. With that said, I silently apologize. Sorry, I've been reading more business reports recently. I'll consider that. However, we have to first grasp the style and quality of their tutoring classes before we can talk about anything else, Miss Huang replies in a businesslike manner. This is the result of an in-home upbringing. I sigh inwardly and casually say, then you can find a random passerby. They aren't trustworthy. I still have to do background checks. It's too expensive to find a professional company. The cost is too high. Miss Huang answers the questions that I haven't even thought of. She continues, you don't need to attend the classes often. You just need to attend 4 to 5 lessons. After that, it will be up to your own preferences. 4 to 5 lessons, which means 1 or 2 weekends. I'll treat it as overtime. I hesitate for a moment before saying, I'll ask. Miss Huang and the girl in black-framed glasses immediately replies, thank you. I then walk towards the group of hooligans and stop in front of the guy whose hair and eyebrows are dyed a charred yellow. Danny. This definitely isn't a proper nickname. It's best that I don't address him like that, lest we fight on the spot. Although I'm already an assassin and am unparalleled, there's no need for that. I cough lightly and say, what are the fees like for the tutoring classes? The hooligan with the yellowish eyebrows looks at me with a happy expression and says, it depends on the situation. For example, what kind of class you'll be taking? Is it an evening class, weekend class, or classes during the daytime? All of them have different prices. Also, what do you primarily want to learn? Foreign languages, mathematics, Chinese, history? Or everything? And what level are you at? Of course, it has to be weekend classes. I usually don't have time. I'm dead tired after work every day. I just want to have some fun. Considering how I had to receive a foreign VIP previously, I reply, weekend class, foreign languages, more verbal in style, adult standards. It's best to be more business-oriented. Sure, no problem. The hooligan nicknamed Danny turns over the flyer in his hand and hands it to me. Weekend business English classes, 8,888 yuan a semester, he rambles on. I'll consider it. I take the flyer and say, when can I sign up? The registration period is currently underway. There are discounts for registering now. It only costs 666. The location is the address on the flyer. 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. in the morning, Danny introduces in detail. Is that so? I look around and casually ask, this is the first time I've seen people handing out flyers at night. Don't you guys have time to rest? We have to wait for the barbecue anyway, so we're just handing out flyers while we wait. Moreover, the foot traffic is the highest here at night, Danny explains indifferently. I see. I ask, what's your name? Do I need to mention your name when signing up? I would like to confirm if they get any commissions from successfully recruiting students when handing out flyers. No need. There's no need. Danny shakes his head in a slight daze. You don't get any commissions? All you do is hand out flyers? I press in puzzlement. Isn't this too professional? Besides, as a hooligan, what isn't better than handing out flyers? Upon hearing my words, Danny is taken aback. He smiles and says, my main job is being a tutor at the tutoring center. I teach foreign languages. At this moment, I feel that this tutoring center is a little unreliable. It was at this time that their barbecue was done. The other hooligans stop handing out flyers and walk towards the stall. Danny panics. Shit. Wait for me. As he runs to the barbecue stall, he turns around and says to me, "My surname is Da, call me Teacher Da." The accent of the foreign language sounds quite authentic. I shake my head and return to another barbecue stall to find Miss Huang and her dormitory daughter. "I'll go take a look this weekend," I say simply. "How much is it?" the girl in black-framed glasses asks. They claim that there's a discount. 6,666, I don't hide anything. Miss Huang nods. "Perhaps there are other small expenses. I'll give you a total of 20,000. The rest will be considered your higher fee." "No, I don't need that much." I originally wanted to modestly decline, but Miss Huang offered just too much. "Okay," I exhale. "Add me on WeChat, I'll transfer it to you." Miss Huang takes out her phone. Just as I'm about to scan her QR code, I suddenly think of a problem. "Why don't you transfer it to her, and then she'll transfer it to me?" The "she" refers to Miss Huang's dormitory daughter. Huh. Miss Huang is a little confused. "If CEO Huang finds out that you transferred money to me privately, it would be a little troublesome," I say after some deliberation. "When that happens, not only will I lose my job, I might even get run over by CEO Huang's car." "All right." Miss Huang tilts her head and says to the girl in black-framed glasses, "Katie, add him and transfer 20,000 to him." The girl obviously knows that Miss Bernie Huang has astonishing wealth and isn't worried that she would default on any debts. She takes out her phone and adds me on WeChat. Katie Huang. The name sounds like that of a family member. I glance at the girl's WeChat name and mutter to myself. After collecting the money, I point to the side. "I'll be buying some barbecue. Shall we eat together?" Miss Huang invites. "No, no need. I'm very timid." At this moment, Katie Huang, the student in black-framed glasses, takes out 2 bags of snacks. "Thank you for your help. This is a specialty of my tutoring center." "What are these?" I glance at the 2 bags of snacks. "Dried mushrooms. It's not worth much. It's made by a biology teacher under our employ. His family farms mushrooms," Katie Huang explains. "All right then, thank you." Since it isn't anything valuable, I accept it without qualms. However, the black things in the snack bag gives me the nagging feeling that they're poisonous. Chapter 14:22 In modern day 20 looks delicious, I politely say after retracting my gaze from the dried mushrooms. Then, I bid farewell to Bernie Huang and Katie Huang and go to the barbecue stall that I frequently dine at. It still isn't the time when the nightwalkers are most active. The small tables placed on the streets are a lot emptier. I easily occupy one of them and shout at the boss, "I'd like to place my order." The boss focuses on grilling the skewers, completely unperturbed. The lady boss walks over with a small notebook and a ballpoint pen. Without exchanging pleasantries or any small talk, I directly say, 10 sticks of pork belly, 10 sticks of pork ribs, 5 sticks of chicken skin, 1 set of chives, and 1 eggplant. The beef kebabs and lamb skewers at this barbecue stall aren't very good, so I didn't order them. Of course, the amount of food I ordered has already exceeded my initial expectations, but it doesn't matter. Not only did I save tens of thousands of dollars from the exorcism today, but I even earned more than 10,000 yuan from Miss Huang. I have to treat myself. As a normal person, after ordering so many meat dishes, I should always have some vegetarian dishes. I need to balance my diet with some greens. As for eggplants, I don't view them as vegetables. They transcend the concept of vegetables and meat dishes, and are unique existences in the barbecue world. Sigh, Miss Huang is really generous. If I wasn't worried that CEO Huang would overreact, would really like to add her on WeChat and ask her to trouble me more often. If there are any commissions, then just hand them to me. Of course, I can't take on things that are illegal and matters that go below the neck. I watch as the lady boss returns to the grill and repeats what I had just ordered. Looking around, I notice that the other tables are occupied by groups of 2s or 3s. There are also people like me who eat barbecue alone, but they choose to have it to go, so as to eat it at home. It's good to have more people. That will allow us to eat a greater variety of food. We can even have a few drinks. I ponder for a while and feel that I should get someone to join me. Then, I suddenly think of a suitable candidate, Peng Deng. My childhood friend Peng Deng who lives nearby. Without hesitation, I take out my phone and send him a WeChat message, "Come out for barbecue." With my understanding of this fellow, he definitely won't let go of the opportunity to rip me off. However, Peng Deng doesn't reply to my message. He's in a ranked game? I randomly guess the reason for this and start thinking about who else I could invite. In this city, I don't only have Peng Deng as a friend, but the rest of them live quite far away. It doesn't seem like a good idea to get someone to take a taxi all the way here to eat barbecue at around 11 in the evening. After all, I don't have anything to discuss with them, and I didn't make an appointment beforehand. It might be better to just eat by myself. I stand up and prepare to go to the nearby Family Mart, Lawson, or a local mini-mart to buy some drinks. How can I not have cold drinks with barbecue? A few years ago, when the roadside stalls weren't under strict supervision, there was usually a mobile icebox placed beside these barbecue stalls. Then, they would lay some cables to siphon off electricity from somewhere to sell iced beer and various cold beverages. Not only was it convenient for customers, but they could also earn some extra money. Unfortunately, it's difficult for such situations to happen now, unless it's a barbecue shop with a shop front. Looking around, I decide to head to the nearest local mini-mart. "Boss, help me watch my seat. I'm going to buy some drinks." I inform the lady boss, worried that there wouldn't be a place to sit when I return later. Okay. The lady boss isn't worried that I would run away. My order is still being roasted. Even if I don't want it anymore, there will still be many people who can have it. When I'm almost at the entrance of the mini-mart, my phone vibrates. Taking it out, I see that Peng Deng has finally replied, "Don't you have a nightlife? Do you?" I respond reflexively. "Of course. My girlfriend is at my place here today," Peng Deng replies quickly. Following that, he sends another message, "Eating supper isn't good for your health. Take it easy. Bring your girlfriend along." I emphasize, "I'm treating." "Ah, okay, we'll be right there." Peng Deng never needs to use transitional words in his speech. "Hurry up. Also, what do you want to drink?" I ask. Peng Deng doesn't reply immediately. He only sends a message after I enter the mini-mart. "I'm not coming. My girlfriend says she's on a diet and doesn't eat supper. She already looks so thin, why would she need to go on a diet?" I think for a while and reply, "You can come alone." Peng Deng sent ellipses. She said that this is flaunting, a great insult towards her. TCH. I despise this adulterous pair for 2 seconds before deliberately saying, "Show me your masculinity." "Alright, I'll show you my masculinity." Peng Deng replies quickly. "Oh, has the world turned upside down today?" I'm stunned. Then, Peng Deng sends a message, "As a man, since I said I'm not coming, it means I'm not coming." I'm speechless. Putting my phone away, I head to the freezer and fridge to consider what to drink. Frankly speaking, I don't like alcohol, but it's not that I can't drink it, it's just that I don't like it and feel that it tastes bad. Therefore, unless it's a request from a friend, I won't expressly buy alcohol. In all these years, there are only two types of alcohol that suits my taste. One is rice wine, and the other is ice wine. The thing they have in common is sweetness. As my gaze shifts, I see a strange man. He's actually wearing a shirt, vest, suit, and pants in the middle of the night, as if he had just attended a business dinner. This stands out in the stark contrast with a mini-mart or barbecue stall. Oh, his eyes are red. He's quite handsome. I tisk and retract my gaze. What does his attire have to do with me? At this moment, the young man walks over. He hesitates for a moment before asking, "Hello, can you give me directions to the nearest hospital? You don't know the way?" I'm surprised. The man answers with hesitation, "I just moved here." Oh. I point to the door. "Turn right and walk straight when you're out. You'll be able to see the hospital when you turn right at the crossroads." "Thank you." The man nods politely. I don't watch him leave as I continue to lower my head and choose my drink. After careful consideration, I buy a can of pineapple beer. These beverages are divided into two types. One is pineapple-flavored beer, while the other is pineapple-flavored carbonated drinks which don't contain any alcohol. It only contains a slight beer taste to drive away the heat. Without a doubt, I choose the latter. After exiting the mini-mart and returning to the stall, I wait for a while longer before I finally see my barbecue. Just as I'm about to enjoy it, a figure appears in front of me. The red-eyed man in the three-piece suit walks over and politely asks, "Hello, can you give me directions to the nearest hospital?" "You just asked me." I point that out. The man seems to finally recognize me. His expression changes as he blurts out, "I'm lost again. Why are you saying, again? I wonder." Chapter 14:23 In modern day 21 Looking at the young man with bright red eyes, I snap to my senses. The first thought I have is, what a waste of a handsome face. After 2 seconds, I become somewhat worried. Is this guy mentally challenged, or just simply mental? Is he the type of person who easily loses his way to the point that a missing report pamphlet is handed out the very next day? No, he answered me very fluently just now. He looks fine on the surface. Perhaps he's just bad with directions? Whoa. How can someone like this be allowed outside the house on their own? I hesitate for a moment before asking, "Do you have your family's number? Do you need to give them a call?" The man's expression instantly turns extremely ugly, giving off the feeling that he wants to bury his head in the ground. "There's no need," he answers firmly. "It was just a mistake." A mistake. I wasn't focused, as I was thinking about other problems. "There's no need to explain," I immediately respond. Trying to explain it just shows your attempts to hide things. I add inwardly. Following that, I stand up, turn around, and point at the end of the road. "Follow this path to the crossroads, then turn right, understand? Turn right." I move my right arm as I face the same direction as him. The man gloomily says, "I'm not a juvenile. I'll concentrate this time. There definitely won't be a problem." I ignore his emphasis and instead remind him, "If you encounter any more accidents, you can look for the police." I originally wanted to mischievously say, "Mr. Policeman," but since he has already said that he isn't a juvenile, I'll just forget about it. However, is this guy living in some stage play? His choice of words are quite literal. Juvenile? Using the term, primary school student, would be more down-to-earth. The man falls silent for 2 seconds before taking a deep breath. "Thank you." "You're welcome." I suppress my urge to make a joke. After watching this guy walk far down the road, I sit back down and enjoy the barbecue. I have to say that meat kebabs have to have fat in order to be delicious. Otherwise, they need to be marinated. Otherwise, it would definitely be dry, woody, and tasteless. In this aspect, chicken skin is definitely the type of food that can take up the challenge. In my heart, it's better than pork belly. However, the chicken skin's quality is hard to guarantee. Some barbecue stalls use the kind that were frozen for God knows how long. As for the one I chose, I can be quite certain of its standards. I bite down on a piece of condiment-infused chicken skin that's been coated with grease. Combined with a mouthful of pineapple and the chilling taste of beer, I find this summer evening simply wonderful in a way that cannot be described. This pineapple beer isn't bad. It's refreshing and quenches my thirst. I'm completely engrossed in the food to the point that I even neglect my phone. Meat, chives, eggplant, and an iced beverage. As I take in this assortment of delicacies, the food in front of me decreases. Phew, nice. I rub my belly in satisfaction. In the next second, I start to have regrets. No, I have to control myself. What if I get fat? In the near future, I can only indulge myself once a month, no, once a week. While I'm in a dilemma, I look up and see a figure. He's wearing a three-piece attire that isn't suited to proper nightlife. He has two bright red eyes. Almost at the same time, the figure seems to sense my gaze. He turns his head and casts his gaze at me. Me, him, why the fuck are you back? Don't tell me that you got lost. The man stands by the roadside, neither advancing nor retreating. He seems to be embroiled in an intense inner struggle. I look around, but I don't see any patrolling policemen. I hesitate for a moment before standing up and walking towards the man. I've already paid for the barbecue when the kebabs were delivered, so the lady boss doesn't stop me from leaving. Why don't I take you there? I don't mention the fact that he's lost. As a person, one has to know when to joke and when not to. The man's expression changes. After a few seconds, he whispers, "All right. Let's go." I turn and lead. Thank you, the wind nearly scatters his voice from behind. As I walk along the road to the crossroads, I casually chat. Which country are you from? You speak pretty good Mandarin. I'm a minority. The man hesitates for a moment before replying. Oh, no wonder. Which ethnic group are you from? How should I address you? I'm enlightened. The man walks to my side and falls silent for a moment before saying, my surname is by, one. My name is Eileen. It's a nice name, just a little feminine, I tease. To be honest, a superficial joke like this definitely doesn't match the sarcasm in my heart. I've already given by Eileen a feminine nickname in my mind, Lin Lin, or Lin Lin. By Eileen ignores my joke and walks forward before turning left. Wait. Wrong. That's wrong. Over here. I quickly correct him. You really are a primary school student. By Eileen immediately turns around and follows me to take the right turn. I don't look at his face, and I don't say a word. I give him time to calm down, lest he gets angry. To be honest, who gave him the courage to come out in the middle of the night to look for a hospital with such a terrible sense of direction? Couldn't he just get a taxi? Or let his parents accompany him? After turning right, it's only a 50 to 60 meter walk. The hospital appears before us. This hospital isn't big. This is the inpatient building. If you go straight ahead, you'll see the emergency department and the outpatient building. Do you need me to bring you there? No need, I'm just going to the inpatient building. By Eileen is visibly relieved. Thank you. As he speaks, he takes out a simple brass key from his pocket. Strange. People actually use a key like that in this day and age? In actuality, it just appears like that on the surface. It's essentially a smart key. I don't probe further and wave. Goodbye. After walking for a few meters, I look back worriedly, only to find by Eileen gone. I can no longer see him on this road. It's as if he vanished into thin air. The hospital's side door didn't open either. Could he have fallen into the sewers? I look over and realize that the manhole cover is fine. Perhaps he used the key to open the door and enter. Heh, the old man guarding the side door must be asleep, right? I shake my head and stop thinking about this. I head all the way home. I find myself feeling a little thirsty thanks to the barbecue, so I take out a cup from my room, open the fridge, and pour the cold water that has been chilled the entire day into the cup. This is a habit of mine during the summer. Before I head out in the morning, I boil a pot of water, pour it into the large container, and place it in the fridge. I can then drink it after work. Gulp. 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 I drink 2 glasses in a row and finally feel fine. After pouring another glass, I saunter back to my bedroom and sit at the computer table. As I sweep my gaze, I suddenly sense something amiss. The black notebook I bought this afternoon is laying open. I remember that before I went out for barbecue, it was clearly closed. Besides, I didn't open the windows for fear of mosquitoes. 1. Literally, white, in Chinese. Chapter 14:24 In modern day 22 Without the window being opened, the notebook flipped open by itself? Did someone enter my room? Or rather, is it a paranormal incident? There's a ghost following me. It's normal to have paranormal incidents. In that second, countless thoughts flash through my mind. At the same time, I see a monster drawn on the page of the open notebook. The monster is humanoid, but it's made of tiny squirming worms. This sounds very bizarre and terrifying, but in reality, it feels nothing of the sort. This is because this drawing is very simple and crude. It resembles the random scribbling of a kindergarten child. No way. Some brat entered my room? A relative of one of my flatmates? As I think about it, I pick up my notebook and flip through it quickly, searching for other traces. After flipping through 2 pages, I see lines of text. My drawing expertise is really bad. The main problem isn't me. I was once called a master artist. War is art. War is aesthetics. It's like I've had a dream that I often had. The dream is filled with such strange languages. I'm such a decadent fellow. We really are women. These lines of text weren't that difficult to read, but the things written down look very chaotic. It gives me a headache as I instinctively stop reading and close the notebook. There's a problem with this. This is like an incantation for dark magic. I've experienced quite a few things in the past 2 days. I barely managed to calm myself down as I cast my gaze towards the window. On the glass window, the blonde female ghost that looks like she's cosplaying appears. Do you know who did it? I ask in a suppressed voice. It was done by an evil spirit, the female ghost replies with an ethereal voice. Evil spirit sounds more advanced than some spirit or poltergeist. As a modern youth who has played many foreign games and watched some foreign television series, I think the name sounds pretty cool. Is an evil spirit more powerful? I ask after some deliberation. The female ghost nods her head in agreement. Will this be more troublesome? I think of asking Madame Daly to exorcise the ghosts again, but I'm also worried that she won't be able to deal with ghosts at the level of evil spirits. I'm also an evil spirit, the female ghost says simply. Okay. I don't know how to respond. What's that evil spirit's intention behind scrawling in my notebook? It takes me a few seconds to recall the main purpose of my question. The female ghost shakes her head. I don't know. I open my mouth and change the topic. How should I address you? I can't just keep calling her female ghost, right? That's not polite. Sharon. After the female ghost says that, her figure gradually fades and disappears from the glass window. Seeing that she's very calm and composed, I'm relieved. I tease myself, it's a huge incident. There's no use panicking. Just focus on sleeping. Then I wash up and go to bed. It ends up being an uneventful night. The next morning, I wake up on time as usual. I lays in bed for 10 minutes and take my time to leave the house. On the way to the bus stop, I buy a burrito that can virtually wrap everything. With the burrito in hand, I take the bus and arrive at the company. I sit in my seat, then I get some water from the water dispenser and get down to eating breakfast. Sigh, if I hadn't treated myself last night, then I should be having a cup of sweet soy milk. Thinking of sweet soy milk, I associate it with the new product that has just been released at the store I frequently buy from. Salted soy milk. This seems to be the unique way to eat in a few places. Soy milk with soy sauce added to it. I don't know what it tastes like. I eat my breakfast seriously and start preparing for work. At this moment, Roseanne, who is almost late, rushes in with a huge bag in her hand. Here, have some beverages. My treat, she says to everyone in the office. She's a lady with good personal relations. Including me, most of the people stand up and surround her. What beverages are there? I ask casually. Roseanne puts down her bag and hands the bag to everyone. I bought a lot of bottles to get what I wanted. They all have different flavors. Sigh, if you're alive, then you should have a gambler inside you. Come, let's see what I picked. What in the world is she talking about? I'm beginning to doubt Roseanne's ability to express herself. However, I still understood the last sentence. I quickly reach into the bag and take out a beverage. I wonder what flavor it will be. Just as I have this thought, I see a familiar bottle design. It's a bottle formed by twisted snake-like patterns. This is very similar to the assassin beverage I drank before, but the color is a little different. It was black before, but now it's blue. I quickly turn the bottle around and see the name on the front, Instigator. Aren't you going to drink it? You don't like this? Why don't you drink this last bottle instead? Roseanne points at the last bottle in the bag, puzzled. The beverage bottle is like a ball of extended flames. It's very cool. No, I'm thinking, I subconsciously refuse, searching for an excuse. As these thoughts flash through my mind, I blurt out, I'm wondering if I should match it with some snacks. As I speak, I take out the snack that was given to me by CEO Huang's non-blood-related granddaughter, Catty Huang. That small bag of dried mushrooms. Chapter 1425 In modern day 23, these dried mushrooms don't look very delicious. Roseanne looks at the bag of dried mushrooms in my hand seriously for a few seconds before replying hesitantly. It's obvious that she's a little embarrassed to say that the mushroom looks dry and black. It causes alarms to go off, and it can hardly whet up an appetite. After all, I'd offered it out of kind intentions. Hee. I take this opportunity to change the topic. What's your drink called? Roseanne immediately turns around and picks up the beverage bottle on the table. She says with a smile, this is it. The design looks cool, right? The beverage bottle has a streamlined design with a footprint theme. The name is Reporter. That's different from mine. I politely compliment, looks good. Roseanne twists the cap that has been opened a long time ago as if she's preparing to take a sip. I instinctively want to stop her, but after opening my mouth, I realize that I don't have a reason. Furthermore, a third of the Reporter beverage is gone. This means that Roseanne has already drank it. There's no point in stopping her now. Gulp. Roseanne lowers the bottle and twists the cap back on. It doesn't taste bad. Try it. Okay, I say perfunctorily. Roseanne doesn't urge me any further. Instead, she points at the remaining beverage bottles in the plastic bag. You can also switch bottles. No need, there's no need, I reply without hesitation. Either way, I don't intend to drink it. It doesn't matter if I switch it or not. After 2 seconds of deliberation, I look at Roseanne and probe, how do you feel after drinking it? Any special sensations? Special sensations? Do you think this is a drug? It's moderately sweet and refreshing. The fragrance will definitely be better after chilling it. Roseanne says, a little pissed. She doesn't look like she's lying. This means that she probably didn't obtain superpowers from the reporter beverage. I subconsciously survey my surroundings and realize that my fellow colleagues have more or less drunk some of Roseanne's beverages, but none of them show any signs of abnormality. They don't even appear dazed or confused. Could it be that only the assassin beverage I picked last time has a special effect? I wonder if that's considered being lucky or not. I quickly control my doubts and wave the instigator beverage in my hand. I'll need to get down to work. Go ahead. Don't let me stop you. Roseanne waves her hand casually. Returning to my seat, I sit down. I look at the instigator beverage in front of me and fall into deep thought. After about 20 seconds, I use my large mug meant for drinking water. This is something I prepare for taking pleasant gulps of water. I open the cap of the instigator beverage and pour the liquid inside. Although I don't plan on drinking this beverage, I'm curious about what the liquid inside looks like, and whether it contains some special powers. Splash. I pour all of the instigator beverage into my mug. That's too little, isn't it? That definitely isn't 500 milliliters. I can't help but look down on this beverage's manufacturer. My mug isn't small, but it usually can't hold the entirety of a 550 milliliters bottle of mineral water. In other words, while there appeared to be quite a bit of instigator in it, the manufacturer had actually cut corners. It's dark blue. It's clear, and it's quite enticing. I carefully observe the liquid in the mug and gather some preliminary information. Other than that, the drink is no different from anything else, at least not on the surface. After some thought, I decide to throw something into the mug to see if there will be any changes. What do I throw? I look around when I suddenly get a bout of inspiration. Those dried mushrooms. Anyway, this isn't something I plan on eating, so I can use it for experiments. I really am a genius. Without any hesitation, I tear open the packaging and throw the black dried mushrooms into the dark blue liquid, watching them stretch out and expand slightly. There aren't any changes. I'm starting to think that I'm overthinking matters. Suddenly, messages come from my work's chat group. I start to get busy. About 15 minutes later, I finish my work and raise my head, preparing to stretch my neck. Suddenly, I see a mushroom. A white and tender mushroom with red star dots all over it. Where did this mushroom come from? I glance over and discover that it's growing in my mug. It's about the size of a palm. Its skin, its surface is so tender and supple. On the cap, there are mushrooms of the same breed, just like its hands and feet. What the hell is this? I'm confused. At that moment, the mushroom sways and the cap moves upwards as though it has lifted its head. The two slightly larger red stars that look like eyes meet my gaze. Just like that, I look at it, and it seems to be looking at me. A few seconds later, the mushroom reaches out its many hands, and using the edge of the mug as leverage, it jumps out. In the next second, it jumps to the floor and wildly runs towards the office door. Fuck. I'm still confused. At the same time, I discover a problem. All of the instigator beverage in the mug is gone. Almost subconsciously, I stand up and chase after the mushroom. I suspect that it's a product from the fusion of the instigator beverage and the dried mushrooms. I have to resolve this accident I caused, as soon as possible. The mushroom is short and extremely fast. It passes through the office without being obstructed, and wasn't even discovered. On the other hand, I'm stopped by my colleagues several times and have no choice but to slow down. So, although the mushroom's footsteps are obviously smaller than mine, it still escapes from the company. It charged into the company next door. I subconsciously follow. At this moment, the security guard next door stops me. "What are you here for?" the tall and strong security guard asks. My mind races as I come up with an excuse. "I'm here for Vice President Wu." "Vice President Wu?" The security officer doesn't believe me. "I'll ask the front desk." While he's walking to the front desk, I approach the door and gaze inside. I'm shocked by what I'm seeing. The employees of the company next door are either wearing black hooded robes or wearing strange costumes. They're dancing with something similar to an employees' dance for business. A cosplay convention? A masquerade ball? It's only 9 in the morning. I'm confused again, forgetting to sneak inside. "What's your boss doing?" I ask when the security guard returns. "It's so strange." The security officer shakes his head. "I don't know either. I'm just a worker." TSK, the moment I hear that, it's obvious that he's trying to draw a clear line between him and them. I press, "Is your boss inside too?" "Yes, that one over there who isn't wearing anything," the security guard replies nonchalantly. I focus my gaze, and the corner of my mouth twitches involuntarily. Pervert. Chapter 14:26 In modern day 24. Even though I'm separated from them at a distance, with all the weirdly dressed people in the way, I still see the naked man bound in dark red ropes. As for whether he's wearing something over the lower half of his body, or what he's wearing, I can't see it because of the table, chairs, and other things that are in the way. In short, the impression that guy gives me is, a pervert. And he might even be into Su0026M. Of course, it's unclear whether he's a real pervert or just cosplaying. "Alright, you can go in now," the security guard says casually. Huh? I doubt my ears. I had lied about being here for Vice President Wu in my rush to give an excuse. I didn't expect to get permission at all. My original plan was to sneak in while the security guard went to inquire at the front desk, and catch that mushroom man. However, the large-scale cosplay scene inside gave me a shock, causing me to temporarily fall into a dazed state of questioning myself. Who am I, where am I from, and what am I doing? I didn't have the chance to take advantage of this opening. Vice President Wu has given you permission to enter. Why? Do you not understand what I'm saying? The security guard senses my confusion. I'm even more surprised. Vice President Wu personally said to allow me entry? This. Is he trying to pull me into his marketing team? The security officer glances at me. You aren't very familiar with Vice President Wu? I've only met him a few times, I quickly emphasize. The security guard turns to look at the company's interior. Seeing that Vice President Wu wasn't nearby, he says, Vice President Wu doesn't like to talk. He doesn't answer questions or give instructions. Later, we figured out the rules. Whatever he doesn't object to on the spot is him giving tacit approval for. Is that so? But it could also be because of other reasons. I once knew a friend who wasn't smart and had a slow reaction. He only understood the first joke when someone was beginning the second joke. Perhaps Vice President Wu is such a person. He doesn't answer the question because he's still digesting the information. He needs more than 10 minutes to think about the answer. I don't argue with the security guard and just mutter inwardly. Since I have an opportunity like this, I obviously wouldn't care if Vice President Wu really acquiesced or if the creator had given him looks but forgot to give him intelligence. I immediately walk past the security guard and enter the neighboring company. I carefully circle the edge of the room, which is in a noisy din with all kinds of crazy dancing happening, searching for the mushroom man I created by mistake. Skull decorations. Blood-colored juice, painting made of leather. This. Not only is the perverted boss next door a multi-level marketing person, but he also believes in some strange cult. As I scan my surroundings, my heart beats faster as my urge to escape increases. If I wasn't already an assassin and was able to do a leap of faith and be in possession of extraordinary powers, I definitely wouldn't have dared to stay any longer. As I walk, I see a long table filled with breakfast. At this moment, a man in a long black robe with a hood suddenly turns his head and looks at me. "Who are you?" he asks hesitantly. I reply without any scruples, "I'm cosplaying an employee." "Just because all of you are cosplaying cultists or all kinds of strange figures, does that forbid me from doing a serious role?" "Employee," the man repeats my words in confusion. He doesn't seem to have a high IQ. That's true. If I'm doing a MLM business, I'll definitely like this kind of member more. They're easy to deceive. I take this opportunity to walk past the black-robed man and to the long table. As I sweep my gaze, joy suddenly surges in my heart. I see that mushroom man. It's lying in a pile of roasted mushrooms, wrapping itself with a layer of sauce, pretending to be ordinary, normal food. However, its seductive aura betrays it. Even though there's a lot of food on the long table, it still stands out. It doesn't seem to have a high IQ as well. I pretend not to notice as I slowly approach. Then, I extend my hand toward the mushroom man. At this moment, a fork stabs the mushroom man and lifts it up before I can get to it. The mushroom man attempts to struggle, but to no avail. It's stuffed into the mouth of a beautiful-looking man with a fork and is chewed. Poor thing. As it had no mouth, it was eaten by the other party before it could even scream. "Me, what? What's wrong?" the man with the androgynous looks asks in a muffled voice while eating the mushroom. "Are you all right?" I ask hesitantly. Gulp. The beautiful man swallows the last mouthful of mushroom. "I'm good." "Really? You're fine?" I ask subconsciously. I have a nagging feeling that a strange creature like the mushroom man wouldn't die so easily. "I'm fine." The beautiful man shakes his head. "You are?" "I'm with Vice President Wu." "How may I address you?" I carefully observe the other party's condition. The beautiful man's expression sinks. "I'm Mr. A." I stare at him for a few seconds before smiling. I'm heading to Vice President Wu's side. Without any hesitation, I maintain my smile and quickly leave the long table and walk out the door. After leaving the neighboring company, I turn to the stairwell and hold in my expressions. I take out my phone. "Hello, is this the police? I found the site of a large-scale pyramid scheme." Chapter 1427, In Modern Day, 25, I honestly inform Mr. Policeman about my suspicions of the company next door. After all, this company has existed since before I was employed at my present company. To be able to remain hidden for so many years meant that they knew how to hide the evidence and cover up their tracks. Also, I actually can't prove that the company next door is involved in a pyramid scheme. Strange costumes and eccentric behavior are never valid charges. The reason I called the police was because I was worried about Mr. A's safety. He had eaten that mutated mushroom man. Who knew what would happen if he waited a little while? It wasn't as though I could monitor him and resolve the problem in time. As for whether the police could solve anything that involved supernatural events, I'm quite confident. This is a result of simple deduction through logic. The medium who's good at exorcism, Madame Dai, is Officer Deng's fiancé. The police department collaborator, Old Neil, is also sensitive to ghosts and obviously has a solution for dealing with them, the mysterious cult that Officer Deng reminded me to watch out for can create extraordinary beings. Based on these points, it's easy to conclude that the police have a deeper understanding of supernatural powers. Since they have a deeper understanding, they definitely wouldn't lack the strength and solutions to deal with it. Putting away my phone, I glance sideways at the company next door that's still normal. Suppressing my concern, I return to my desk and start working. I'm plagued by all kinds of trivial matters for my last project the entire morning. I was so busy that I didn't even have time to poop on company time. As noon approaches, my phone suddenly buzzes. I pick it up and see an unfamiliar number. Who is it? A scammer? Some advertising agent? It's not listed. I mutter as I pick up. Hello, were you the one who called the police? You said that Aurora Company at 10 to 188 at Fengfei Road is suspected to be involved in a pyramid scheme? A slightly tired voice comes from the other end of the phone. The police are already here? Have they done the investigation? At that moment, questions flash through my mind before a scene surfaces. The cosplayer cultist, Mr. A, who looks like a beautiful man, is covered in mushrooms with golden spots. He wobbles as he walks towards the police. How terrifying. I can't help but shiver and hurriedly reply, yes, I called the police. I think their behavior is very suspicious. Did you find anything? They're a legit company. The policeman on the other end of the line sighs and says, you can't think that they're involved in a pyramid scheme just because they hold parties early in the morning. There are countless companies that shout slogans and even dance every morning. But, one look at their gathering and you can tell it's not normal, I subconsciously retort. The policeman on the other end of the line says helplessly, can't they cosplay in the morning? Can't they have a masquerade party in the morning? You can complain about them disturbing the peace, but you can't say that they're running a pyramid scheme. They already explained that this is the company's corporate culture. Can we define a company with such corporate culture as a cult? I originally want to say that, but when I think about the news of punishing employees to crawl like dogs, I feel that the company next door hasn't gone too far. Yes, I'm sorry. I was too sensitive, I apologize hastily. The policeman on the other end of the line heaves a sigh of relief. Don't do this again in the future. Without waiting for him to finish, I forcefully interrupt, did you discover anything? Was there anyone who got food poisoning because of mushrooms? What can we discover? They're all working hard, the policeman on the other end of the line says impatiently. He emphasizes that I shouldn't be too sensitive and hangs up. It seems Mr. A is fine. I'm relieved. I stand up and look around. At this moment, there are only 2 or 3 people left in the office waiting for their food to be delivered. The other colleagues have already gone to the office canteen on the 2nd floor. CEO Huang has always been very generous to his employees. He gives plenty of meal allowance, but all of it is transferred to our employee card. It can only be used at the canteen. Of course, the company canteen standard is quite good. Regardless of the ingredients, quantity, or culinary skills, they're all satisfactory. The only problem is that there isn't much variety in staples, only rice, noodles, and wontons. Some of the employees can only rely on delivery food when they want to eat rice noodles or pancakes. To me, this doesn't pose a problem. As long as the dishes have variety, it doesn't matter what the staple is. It would be a waste not to use my meal allowance. It's not like it can be used outside. Rubbing my stomach, I open my drawer, take out my employee card, and run towards the elevator. After entering the canteen, I look for a window seat first. Just then, through the window, I see a row of people standing downstairs. The leader is CEO Huang. CEO Huang quickly gets into a Rolls-Royce, and it drives off behind another car. I know that leading car. I just sat in it yesterday, it belongs to our partner company's Rosago. Thinking of this racer, I suddenly feel a little nauseous. I feel like I'm suffering from motion sickness. Mr. Zarathustra has arrived via high-speed rail? CEO Huang is going to personally fetch him. He places great importance on this. I rein in my thoughts and cast my gaze back at the food selection window. Besides, this job has already been handed over. What happens next has nothing to do with me. After having a perfect lunch, I saunter back into the office and lean my neck against a neck pillow. I have a habit to sleep for a while at noon, or else I'll be groggy in the afternoon. And I need to listen to music during my afternoon nap to avoid being disturbed by the random noises in the office. I quickly put on my inner ear headphones, open on a music player, and start searching for today's lullaby. There's a new song. It's from overseas, and it's doing pretty well. I glance at it, my interest piqued. During my afternoon nap, my music of choice has always been more inclined toward songs in foreign languages, because if I don't focus on listening, it won't be easy to understand, and I wouldn't care too much about the lyrics. I won't let my imagination run wild. The reviews are okay. I quickly decide to buy the song. When translated, the song's title is Advance. Advance. Its singer is Alger Wilson. I check the information on this singer and find that he is rather inspirational. He was originally just a crew member who drifted out at sea, but after much hardship, he became a singer. Chapter 1428, In Modern Day, 26, In a Daze, I open my eyes. Holy shit, when did I fall asleep? I have no recollection at all. I glance around blankly and find my colleagues working in their respective cubicles. I only remember that I was getting ready to listen to a song, and here I am. Did I black out? I didn't drink. Ouch, my head hurts, I'm so dizzy, I want to vomit. At this moment, I feel like I've just woken up from a hangover. Of course, this is just a feeling, as I've never been drunk. Raising my hands to rub my temples, I glance at the music player and find that it has stopped playing. Advance. Advance. Yes, I was listening to this song. I can't remember its melody at all. Puzzled, I click on the song's reviews again. Nice. An unprecedented experience. Excellent pleasure. Because I've read the reviews on the first few pages, I only take a few casual glances and scroll to the end. Thank you so much for this song. It cured my chronic insomnia. The purest and most punk death rock. This song made me faint. This isn't a description, but literally what happened. I can't imagine how humans can make such sounds. If you're a man, try lasting 30 seconds. This song is a little problematic. I won't listen to this so-called death rock again. I grit my teeth for a few seconds before deciding to add another review, an unprecedented form of music. It transcends human understanding. I have to let others experience it too. I can't be selfish. After getting a preliminary explanation for the mysterious blackout, I take off my headphones and prepare for work. However, my head is dizzy and my forehead is throbbing in pain. From time to time, I feel disgusted. This is a lot worse than the heatstroke I previously suffered from. Even the office's powerful air conditioning is unable to ease my discomfort. No, I have to go to the hospital for a checkup. I feel like I'm going to crash. I try to calm myself down, but I still can't hold on. Luckily, CEO Huang has always been generous. Every employee has 2 days of paid medical leave without a doctor's note. I quickly write a request for time off and head to Director AI's office to ask for his signature. Perhaps it's because my complexion is really bad, Director AI doesn't make things difficult for me. Out of concern, he even asks me if I need someone to send me to the hospital. There's no need. It's not that serious. I still care about my face. I would never ask for help if I can solve it myself. Okay, go back and have a good rest. If there's anything urgent in the afternoon, I will arrange someone else to do it. Director AI doesn't insist. Out of the building, I get a rideshare without hesitation. I don't put on a strong front by taking the bus. I've always been willing to spend money when the time calls for it. Mushu Hospital. Very soon, the car arrives. I board it and first verify my destination. Mushu Hospital is one of the better public hospitals in the surrounding areas, but it's not one of the best. Hence, there are fewer patients and there wouldn't be a long line for the emergency department. The hospital that Eileen went to last night is at the district level. Although I haven't been there before, I have a nagging feeling that it's very reliable. Okay, the driver answers simply and starts the car. Time ticks by as I gradually feel alive. My head isn't that dizzy anymore, and I no longer have cold sweat. The throbbing pain completely disappears. Holy fuck. Did I choose a hospital that's too far away? I'm scared that I'll be alright by the time I make it to the hospital. I can't help but have a strange thought. As it turns out, this isn't wishful thinking. When the driver arrives at my destination, I'm completely awake and alive. I even feel a little hungry. There's no need to go to the emergency department. After a round of inspection, I'm certain I'm in a good condition. Thus, my only option is to enjoy this spare time for myself. After all, I've already taken time off, and there's no way to cancel it. Return home to play games? Find a movie to watch? Ah, right. I still have to register at the dream tutoring classes. I can't not do anything after being paid. I happen to be free right now anyway. I pick up my phone, look for the picture of the address of the tutoring center that I took, call another rideshare, and head there. Hello, I'd like to know more about your tutoring class. I don't directly say that I'm going to sign up while facing the male receptionist. To be honest, I think this tutoring center is a little strange. It actually uses men as receptionists instead of women. I'm not discriminating against men, but I feel that women are more patient and gentle. The receptionist briefly introduces the courses they have before asking, "What would you like?" This fellow is so silly that he's comparable to that Danny. Is this the theme of this tutoring center? I cough lightly and say, "Weekend, Business English." This is the best course out of our dream tutoring classes. Our principal is in charge of it, and she has even invited a few foreign teachers, real foreign teachers, the receptionist says without end. We can still get you a discount if you sign up now. The original price is 8,888 yuan, but it's only 6,666 now. Is your principal very capable? I take the opportunity to ask. The receptionist points to the corridor. She's been studying abroad for many years and has mastered a lot of languages. She even has a PhD in education. I trace the receptionist's finger and gaze at the ajar classroom door in the corridor. The one holding the class is a woman. Her side is facing the outside, and she's wearing a pair of loose jeans. Her upper body is wearing a white slim-fit shirt with flowers. Her hair is dyed brown, and she has tied her hair up in a bun. In addition, based on my assassin vision, I can clearly see the principal's side profile. She's not too old, only in her 20s. She has some baby fat on her face, and the contours of her face are very exquisite. She's probably pretty good looking. Our principal is very knowledgeable. Other than being a polyglot, she knows how to draw, do oil paintings, sketches, watercolor paintings, and all kinds of paintings. She also knows how to appraise antique and different musical instruments. She's practically an all-rounder. The receptionist's tone is filled with admiration. Just as I'm about to respond, a man walks into the tutoring center. "Look, this is our foreign teacher, Mr. Anderson Hood." The receptionist immediately introduces him, he's proficient in at least 10 languages. He can communicate with you alone and train your accent. From the corner of my eye, I see a foreign young man with blonde hair and blue eyes. He's wearing a white shirt and black vest. With the intention of testing him, I switch to English. Hello, what languages do you know? How long have you been teaching at this tutoring center? The tutor named Anderson Hood has his hands in his pockets as he smiles and says, "Me, what is he saying? Also, why does this guy look so familiar with the way he has his hands in his pockets?" Anderson glances at me and chuckles. How is it? My Mauritian Creole isn't bad, right? This time, he uses English. He then translates it into Chinese. I don't understand, I answer honestly. I can't be sure what language he said the first time. Anderson tsks and says, "It looks like you don't have any talent in languages. Why don't you learn how to paint from me?" Chapter 1429, in modern day, 27, for a moment, I'm at a loss on how to respond to Anderson Hood. I'm afraid that I would end up quarreling with him the moment I open my mouth. After a few seconds, I finally find a relatively euphemistic solution. "Oh, you're even able to paint?" The receptionist eagerly says, he knows a lot of things. He originally came to our country to learn banter, claiming that he's proficient in all kinds of things. That sounds like sarcasm. The receptionist and this foreign teacher don't seem to be on good terms. I wonder if he's speaking the truth or just joking. Although I'm not particularly good at observing people, his behavior is a little obvious. If you wish to learn banter, I can teach you as well, Anderson Hood says with a well-enunciated Chinese accent. We'll see. I'm a little confused about the current situation, and I have no choice but to say something perfunctory like, "I'll check my schedule." After watching Anderson walk into the office, I turn my head and ask the male receptionist, "Can I not sign up for his class?" "That's one of your rights." The male receptionist looks excited. A wise choice. He then gives me a thumbs up. This, foreign teacher, Anderson. Is he that bad? I glance in the direction of the office. The male receptionist chuckles. To be honest, he's very capable. His only flaw is, he pauses. What is it? I can't help but ask in response. The male receptionist turns solemn. That he's not a mute. Ha ha ha. I laugh, half sincere and half polite. Then, I ask curiously, do people sign up for his classes? Yes, quite a lot. The male receptionist curls his lips. Aren't they aware that you can't withdraw from classes and switch teachers after signing up? I take the opportunity to gather more details. No. The male receptionist quickly corrects me. We have one trial lesson. If you're not satisfied, you can switch to another teacher. He pauses and laughs. Well, you know, some people just like to get mocked and trampled on. It sounds like they have a special fetish. I stop asking further. Then I'll sign up for your principal's class. Are there weekend classes? Yes. The male receptionist quickly does the introductions. I don't waste any time. After paying 6,666 yuan, I sign up for the Dream Tutoring Classes Weekend Business English class. After leaving the Dream Tutoring classes, I don't leave the building. Instead, I find a quiet corner and take in the feel of the air conditioner. I then make a record of today's events. To be a commercial spy, one has to act like a commercial spy. I have to live up to Miss Huang's payment. Done. I casually tap my phone and look at the department chat to prevent myself from missing any important notices. Roseanne, take note, CEO Huang is bringing a VIP over to visit. Everyone, please be more professional. VIP. Oh, that client named Zarathustra. I actually missed him again. Looks like we aren't fated to meet. I hold my phone and consider what to do next. It's rare for me to have free time in the afternoon on a non-weekend day. I can't waste it. I'll go catch a movie. There shouldn't be a lot of people at this time. With that thought in mind, I immediately head to the larger mall next door. Then, I take the elevator to the 4th floor and start searching for the cinema. There's a signing event. Looking around, I see many people lining up at the entrance of a large bookstore. It's obvious that a famous author is here to do a fan signing event. With some level of curiosity, I deliberately pass by and see a few poster stands. Romance Queen. Slacker Without a Dream. This pen name, the authors nowadays really have weird pen names. I don't know the author of the fansign event, nor do I have any intention of joining in the fun. Of course, I'm still a little curious as to what the author looks like. After all, the few poster stands that aren't blocked mainly introduced the Romance Queen's new book without any pictures. I'll come take a look after the movie. I mutter to myself and follow the road signs to the other side of the mall. At the end of the road, I find the cinema. Because I haven't thought of what to watch, I stay in the lobby and look for something that piques my interest from the promotional pictures. Suddenly, I feel the light in front of me dim. A tall man appears beside me. He's so tall. He's almost 2 meters. I look at him from the corner of my eye and realize that he looks like a basketball player. Wait, he seems to be wearing the junior high school uniform near my neighborhood. Holy shit, he's only in middle school and he's already 2 meters tall. What do children nowadays eat? And he dyed his hair brownish yellow. Does he need to attend classes? Well, it's summer vacation now. But why are you wearing your school uniform during the summer vacation? As I lampoon, I take a stealthy step in the opposite direction, in case the child makes me look like a dwarf. Meanwhile, I find the movie that I'll be watching. I don't have to wait too long. The Pirate 3, Crazy Adventurer. In the corresponding promotional pictures, a man in a top hat and trench coat is standing between lightning, waves, and storms with 3 retro pirate ships surrounding him. And at the bow of each ship stands a beautiful female pirate. Also, please continue supporting Cuttlefish by unlocking chapters in coins even if it's continued. Synopsis below: our protagonist, Shang Jianyao, is crazy, literally crazy, at least that's what the doctors said. Living in a huge, underground building of Panga biology, one of the few remaining factions in this apocalyptic wasteland known as the Ashlands, he acts in unfathomable ways that's head-scratching, comical, and shrewd. So is he really crazy? Probably. He has a grand dream, to save all of humanity. Intricately tied to this dream is something everyone in the Ashlands believes in: deep in a particular ruin buried away by danger and famine, a path leading to a new world awaits. To step into the new world, one only needs to find a special key and open that certain door. There, the land is bountiful, as if milk and honey flows freely. The sunlight is dazzling, as if all coldness and darkness are washed away. The people will no longer have to face desolation, monsters, infections, mutations, and all kinds of dangers. There, children are joyous, adults are happy, everything is fine as they are supposed to be. Every antiquarian, ruin hunter, and historian roaming the Ashlands knows, that's the new world. Chapter 1430, in modern day, 28, The Pirate 3, Crazy Adventurer. It looks okay, it should be the kind of popcorn flick that I enjoy. I look around and make a preliminary decision. I quickly take out my phone and log into the film review website to check out its score and reviews. The aesthetics are shallow, the plot is simple and crude, other than the special effects and the few actresses, there's nothing else. The protagonist only knows how to act cool and has 0 acting skills, nothing deep at all. It's a passable commercial film, but it's only passable, fuck, reviews like these. I like movies like this. I'm just watching it to kill time and don't need deep, thought-provoking shows. I read the reviews and find that it isn't that bad. I have a rough idea. The giant middle school student standing beside me in front of the poster has already left to buy the tickets. One ticket for the Pirate 3, the earliest time slot. I go over only after the middle school student heads elsewhere in the mall. I don't want the contrast to be that apparent. It makes me feel inferior. There's still 15 minutes to the next time slot, the ticket sales staff informs me. That's fine. I don't plan on shopping, so I decide to find a place to sit and wait. After all, they'll allow entry inside very soon. Of course, before that, I buy a medium-sized iced Coke and a serving of butter popcorn. I obviously have to match a popcorn flick with popcorn. Otherwise, how can it be called enjoyment? In the past, I rarely watched movies, just to stop myself from overeating. And now, my weight has returned to my university days, and it's very muscular. This is the beauty of life. Not long after, I enter the venue according to the signs and find my seat. Even though it's office hours, there are quite a lot of people in the audience. A large portion of them are clearly students. Summer vacation. I also want a summer vacation. I take a sip of iced Coke and put on my 3D glasses. At this moment, the 2-meter-tall middle school student walks along the aisle towards me. Under normal circumstances, the gap between me and the row in front is sufficient for a person to pass through. However, the figure before me is simply too huge, and it isn't possible for me to grant him passage by just pulling in my legs. I have no choice but to stand up and lean back. The middle school student successfully passes through. He turns his head and smiles sincerely. "Thank you, uncle." "No problem. I still think I'm young." This interlude doesn't hinder me from eating popcorn, drinking iced Coke, and watching the various trailers on the big screen. Very quickly, the Pirate 3 officially begins. My smile only lasts for 5 minutes before it stiffens. It's not that the movie is worse than I expected, but that the male lead's fortuitous encounter is from drinking a potion. The potion gives me the feeling that it's the assassin beverage I drank before. Man. The assassin beverage is actually a potion? Who produced this movie? I remember seeing the dragon logo just now. Hall Film Company? This can't be a reflection of reality, can it? I instantly immerse myself in the plot, but there aren't any other potions later in the film. Instead, it shows the serious side effects of the potion. My heart grows heavier as I watch it. I even feel like I'm the male lead. After the movie, I can't help but curse inwardly. Is this guy that clueless? 3 beautiful female pirates are surrounding him, but in the end, he only took a silly bosun with him. Seriously. Where's the treasure they promised, and them heading off into the sunset while accompanied by beauties? Yes, it's all disappeared off into the sunset. After watching the Easter egg, I pick up my empty Coke and popcorn bucket and walk towards the aisle. At this moment, a short girl who's clearly less than 1.6 meters tall suddenly comes over and suppresses her voice. "Someone is monitoring you." "Monitoring me? Who?" I subconsciously look around, but I can't find the suspect. And the woman who warned me has already followed the crowd and walked to the exit. For real? I think for a moment and decide to leave the cinema first before confirming the situation. There are too many people here, and it's too noisy. Calling the police wouldn't work. At the same time, a train stops at a high-speed rail station in the city. One of the carriages slowly opens, but there are only 4 to 5 people inside. They form a stark contrast with the crowd in the other carriages. Those few people are dressed as if they're going to a comic convention. After exchanging a glance, they stand up and walk out with heavy footsteps. What they see is an extremely modern platform and crowds of people. He has a grand dream, to save all of humanity. Intricately tied to this dream is something everyone in the Ashlands believes in, deep in a particular ruin buried away by danger and famine, a path leading to a new world awaits. To step into the new world, one only needs to find a special key and open that certain door. There, the land is bountiful, as if milk and honey flows freely. The sunlight is dazzling, as if all coldness and darkness are washed away. The people will no longer have to face desolation, monsters, infections, mutations, and all kinds of dangers. There, children are joyous, adults are happy, everything is fine as they are supposed to be. Every antiquarian, ruin hunter, and historian roaming the Ashlands knows, that's the new world. Chapter 1431 Bonus Chapter. That corner, 1, there. It's right there. A young man with long brown hair and a pirate-like bandana shouted as he pointed at a nearby island. He was standing on the starboard of a three-masted sailboat. The rolling waves drowned out most of his voice. A muscular man with a black eye patch reached out to hold the shipboard. He frowned and muttered to himself in shock and suspicion, "I don't remember there being such an island on this sea route." This was not the first time their ship had plied this sea route. The young man who had shouted replied excitedly, "This means that it's usually hidden. It only appears at specific moments. There must be treasures on such an island. Captain, in the words of that strange monk, a fortuitous opportunity has presented itself." He spoke in the lone language. Fortuitous opportunity was a term pieced together by two words. That monk spouts words indecipherable to us. Pay no heed to them. The muscular man wearing an eye patch raised his hand and ruffled his slightly messy short yellow hair. "And I often tell you guys that treasures are often accompanied by danger." As he spoke, he pointed at his right eye which was covered by the eye patch. "That's the cost." The young man with the pirate-like bandana sincerely said, "But, Captain, isn't this the purpose of our adventure? For treasure." They were a group of treasure hunters from different places. Of course, they occasionally worked as pirates and borrowed food, drinks, and necessities from passing merchant ships. After all, ideals alone couldn't feed them. The captain fell silent for a moment before saying, "Gather 4 to 5 people, and we'll step foot on the island to take a look. The rest of you, prepare to set sail at any time." The young man's eyes lit up. "You agreed? Captain, you agreed?" The captain chuckled. "Weimer, if not for the fact that there's no other choice, no one at my age would continue to be a treasure hunter." He appeared to be in his 30s, but his blue eyes showed signs of age. "Fine." Weimer held up his hands. "Whatever you say." He immediately became excited. "I'll get O.L. Keaton." O.L. Keaton was the ship's first mate. He believed in the god of knowledge and wisdom and had mastered many languages. If they didn't bring him along on such an expedition, it was very likely that they would throw away whatever treasures they found as trash. More importantly, O.L. Keaton was also very strong. When the ship docked at the dock that seemed to have long been abandoned, an exploration team of 4 had already gathered beside the gangway. They were Captain Gray, First Mate O.L. Keaton, Bosun Parvey, and veteran seaman Weimer. "No one," Parvey looked into the distance and muttered regretfully. The weather in the Berserk Sea today wasn't bad. Visibility was extremely high under the blue sky, and the small port hid no secrets from her. This place was incomparably quiet as if it had been dead for many years. "It'll be more terrifying if there were people," Weimer added. It implied many things if such a hidden island remained inhabited. Parvey was wearing a white shirt and brown pantaloons. She had a pair of beautiful light blue eyes and a slightly androgynous appearance. She glared at Weimer. "You want to stay behind and clean the deck?" Weimer shrugged and shut his mouth. Having become a bosun as a woman, she needed to manage many unruly crew members. She would never go easy on her threats. Captain Gray, who was surveying the area, gave an order. "Let's get ashore." He then exhorted, "We'll do it the old way. During the first exploration, don't touch anything. Just look and listen." "No problem." Weimer was the first to rush out of the ship and run down the gangway to the dock. He jumped up excitedly mid-run and glided to the ground like a big bird. The sound caused by his action spread out in all directions, mixed with some echoes. Behind him, Gray, Keaton, and Parvy followed carefully. "If you continue that recklessness of yours and act on your own like an uncivilized wild dog, I'll tie you up and hang you at the stern to fish for sharks." Parvy quickly walked to Weimer's side and warned him in a hushed voice. Weimer nodded solemnly and muttered, "Girl boss, with your personality, you should join the Church of Storms instead of believing in the Evernight Goddess." Parvy didn't say anything. She looked around and followed Captain Gray and First Mate Keaton. The port was not big. There was only a lighthouse, 2 simple docks, 5 warehouses, and a few buildings that served as a hotel, restaurant, bar, and police station. It did not take long for the 4 of them to circle the area. Apart from the fact that there was no one around, everything seemed normal. Weimer looked at the tables in the house facing the street through a relatively clear glass window and did not speak for a long time. His expression was a little solemn given his personality. Inside the house, on the dining table, there was a cup with brownish-black liquid and 2 pieces of moldy toast. Next to them were several neatly folded newspapers. It looked like the owner was about to enjoy breakfast when he suddenly encountered an emergency and had to leave in a hurry. He did not even have time to flip open the newspapers. He never returned. It would be considered normal if there was only one such example. After all, accidents were unavoidable. However, the entire port was in a similar situation. It was inevitable that it would make one's hair stand on end and imagination run wild. In that instant, all the local residents, no, all the living creatures, seemed to have evaporated. "They haven't been gone for long," Captain Gray's slightly hoarse voice broke the team's silence. Parvy subconsciously replied, "Indeed, if this port has been abandoned for a long time, the food will not just be moldy." It seemed like only a few days or weeks had passed since the bizarre incident had happened. Keaton retracted his gaze from the street and nodded gently. "That's what the plants here say." There were obvious wrinkles at the corners of the first mate's mouth. His hair was already mottled with natural curls. He was wearing a white robe and brass-framed glasses. Weimer was momentarily slow to react. He then looked at the place where Keaton had sized up and quickly understood why he said that. There weren't many weeds in the harbor. There were some plain or gorgeous mushrooms growing sporadically on the wooden buildings. They seemed to have existed all along. The natural world had obviously not had enough time to invade this place. Keaton saw Weimer's enlightened expression and didn't explain further. He turned to Captain Gray and solemnly said, "I'm worried that something might happen if we stay here for too long." "What might happen?" "Could it be that we will also disappear into thin air?" Before Weimer could finish speaking, a tanned palm appeared over his mouth. This palm pushed his head and pressed him against the wall. "There won't be a next time." Parvy glared at Weimer and warned under her breath. Weimer nodded with difficulty, indicating that he understood. When Parvy released him, he muttered softly, "This isn't like you, girl boss." "You actually didn't slam the back of my head against the wall," Parvy chuckled. "I'm afraid that the commotion will be too great and awaken up the bizarreness hidden here." Captain Gray didn't care about their little bout. He took out his silver-white pocket watch and opened the lid. "We'll return to the ship in another 15 minutes. If everything remains normal, we'll prepare a second exploration tomorrow." "All right." Weimer was the first to agree. The 4 of them maintained a fine battle formation as they skirted the buildings in front of them and headed for the edge of the port. There was a slightly stained steam locomotive parked here. The 2 tracks extended deep into the island. Parallel to the tracks was a cement road. This was exactly what Gray and the others had imagined. After all, the port bore the responsibility of loading and unloading goods, traveling passengers, and connecting other towns with convenient road traffic. However, to their surprise and confusion, the railway was only 100 to 200 meters long. At the end of it stood a sizable town. Even though they were still at the edge of the port, the four of them could see the situation there with their naked eyes. Weimer could not express his feelings in words. He could only curse under his breath. If I were the owner of this island, would definitely tie up the bastard who suggested such repairs at the stern to fish for sharks. Based on their experience in many ports, this arrangement was simply abnormal. The town 100 meters away had to be closer and connected to this side to form a port city, or it should be a few kilometers away and be independent, unlike now. There might be a deeper meaning, Keaton said with a frown. This might have something to do with the bizarre happenings here. After he finished speaking, no one responded for a moment. After a few seconds, Weimer looked at the town not far away and said, "Captain, do we head over to take a look?" Captain Gray nodded. "Sure. 12 minutes left." They then walked along the cement road toward the small town. On both sides of the road, weeds flourished and mushrooms dotted the area. The closer they got to their destination, the more it was like this. Before long, the four treasure hunters arrived at the edge of the town. There was a wooden board erected there. On it was a word written in Loan, Utopia. "This place is called Utopia," Weimer muttered to himself as he cast his gaze at Keaton. Keaton shook his head slowly, indicating that he had never heard of it. It was the same for Parvy and Captain Gray. They observed the situation inside from the edge of the town and confirmed that the streets were also empty. It was so quiet that even the wind seemingly found it unbearable to pass. As they walked forward step by step, the four of them saw the Iris Hotel, Utopia's telegraph office, and many buildings. However, without exception, the interior of these buildings revealed that their owners had left in a hurry and never returned. There were also cups with some water left, dry clothes that were halfway through their washing, cutlery that had been laid out, musical instruments that had not been put away, books that had been flipped through, carriages that had stopped by the roadside without any horses. These things all reconstructed the appearance of the town before the bizarre situation happened. "I keep feeling that something is missing," Weimer couldn't help but whisper when he saw the municipal square in sight. Thank you for reading on mybox novel. Com. Chapter 1432 Bonus Chapter. That corner, too, Parvy shot him a glance. "People are missing." No, that's not it. "I know that." Weimer shook his head seriously. His eyes lit up. "I know what's missing." "What?" Captain Gray and First Mate Keaton asked in unison. Weimer laughed. "Money, notes, and gold coins." He straightened his back and continued explaining, "Although we haven't entered the houses to conduct a detailed search, according to my experience, even if we just look from the outside, we should be able to find some. However, there's nothing at all. Perhaps it's just that the people here aren't very rich and don't have the habit of leaving their money around." Parvy didn't agree. This was not an important problem. The four of them quickly diverted their attention. After entering the municipal square, they looked at the tallest building. It was a black-spired cathedral. Mushrooms tenaciously grew out of the cracks in the bricks of the cathedral. They were either simple and plain, or gorgeous and colorful. They strung together, showing a presence that couldn't be ignored in front of the green vines. "This place feels like it's been abandoned for even longer." Parvy paused before saying, "From the architectural style, this looks like the Cathedral of the Goddess." "Do the people here also believe in the goddess?" She found this rather peculiar. The residents of such a hidden island and strange town seemed to believe in the Evernight goddess. Keaton stared at it for a few seconds before saying, "Seems so." Then, he immediately added, "It feels like the closer we get to the square and the cathedral, the longer it appears to be abandoned. Be it the weeds on the road, the green plants on the surface of the buildings, or the mushrooms of all kinds, the closer they got to the center of the town, the more numerous they became. And the cathedral seemed to be covered in a green coat with many speckled holes." After a moment of silence, Parvy suggested, "Let's go to the cathedral. As long as the goddess is still watching this land, there won't be any particularly serious problems there." Captain Gray and Keaton didn't object, but the former reiterated the rules of this exploration. After entering the cathedral, you can only use your eyes to see and ears to hear. Don't do anything else. No problem. Weimer walked towards the cathedral at the side of the square. This left Parvy with no choice but to gesture a circle on her chest and simply ask for the goddess's protection. As there wasn't much time left, the four of them sped up and quickly arrived at the cathedral's entrance. They were in no hurry to push the door open and enter. They sized up their surroundings individually. "Very quiet," Captain Gray concluded. The other three also expressed that they did not find any problems. The black cathedral's door was ajar. After Weimer exerted force with his hands, it slowly opened. The bottom of Captain Gray's black eye patch immediately lit up, helping him see the scene inside clearly. There were no tables or chairs in the hall. There were windows on both sides that shone with light, and it was dark red above. Drip, drip, drip. Drops of viscous, pale yellow liquid fell from the sky and hit the ground like rain, giving people the feeling that the dome was severely damaged and was facing a storm. Before Gray could speak, he saw the viscous, disgusting liquid dissolve into puddles. The puddles rolled and bubbled endlessly. The bubbles popped, and deformed babies with moist skin and pale yellow dirt crawled out. As these babies grew rapidly, they dripped more viscous yellow liquid, creating more puddles and stirring more bubbles. Wah! 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 They began to cry. Just seeing this scene caused blood to flow from Gray's eyes. The eye patch turned dark red as if he was moved to tears by the birth of life. His mind was blank. He felt that every part of his body was nurturing a new life. The sharp pain snapped him to his senses, and he instinctively took a step back. The scene in front of Gray returned to normal. It was still the empty cathedral hall with wide windows that lacked maintenance, and a tall and magnificent dome. There was no viscous liquid that fell like rain, nor were there countless deformed babies and puddles everywhere. Huff, puff, Gray panted heavily. The next second, he turned around and shouted as he ran, "Run!" Thud, thud, thud. Gray rushed out of the municipal square. He did not care about Parvy, Keaton, and Weimer at all. He was already considered a responsible captain for still remembering to warn his teammates under the current circumstances. Thud. 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 Gray didn't dare stop at all. Relying on his amazing physique despite his blurred vision, he ran all the way out of the strange town, back to the crude port, and onto his ship. Keaton, Parvy, and Weimer rushed back in less than 10 seconds. Set sail. Gray ordered. Gray waited until the ship set sail before he bothered to check his injuries. He raised a hand to his eye and instantly felt moisture. However, when he brought his hand to his eyes, he realized that it was not blood, just tears. As he ran, he kept crying. Gray's brows knitted together, startled and suspicious. Soon, he confirmed that he was not injured at all. "What did you guys see?" He turned to look at Keaton and the others. Weimer looked at the captain. His eyes were red as if he had just cried. He said with lingering fear, "I saw fireball after fireball. They fell from the roof with a whoosh and then exploded. Light. My eyes were filled with light. I felt like I was going blind. No, I'm already blind. Then, I felt like I was melting. It hurt. It really hurt. Weimer heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Captain woke me up at that moment. He rubbed his eyes and said in confusion and relief, "I'm fine now. It's just that I kept crying at first, but then I got better. It was like a bad dream." What he meant was that the dream was very real. There were still lingering fears when he woke up, but he would be fine after a while. Captain Gray nodded and carefully examined Weimer's eyes. After confirming that there was really no problem, he looked at First Mate O.L. Keaton. "What about you?" O.L. Keaton looked at the distant coastline and the shrinking port and said in a reminiscent tone, "The entire cathedral collapsed. I fell to the ground with the surrounding pillars and stone bricks. It was bottomless. Moreover, my head, my flesh, and my skin fell at different speeds. They began to pull at each other. It hurt, it really hurt." The slightly loose skin and deep wrinkles on O.L. Keaton's face trembled as if he didn't want to recall any more of the incident. He exhaled and said after a while, "My entire body was about to be torn apart. Then, it was as if there were invisible hands around me. They pressed my hands, legs, head, skin, flesh, and bones to my internal organs with great force. I wished I could die as quickly as possible. Fortunately, I woke up the next second thanks to you, Captain." Weimer sighed with emotion. "This is even more painful than what happened to me. If you hadn't woken up in time, you might have seen yourself turn into a blood-colored meatball." Parvy listened quietly and said thankfully, "I wasn't in that much pain. I saw darkness, darkness that made me feel at ease. Then, I fell asleep. It was like I was back in my bed until I was woken up by you, Captain." Captain Gray nodded slowly. "From the looks of it, what we encountered or experienced is different. Moreover, we are left without any injuries. It's just some stress." O.L. Keaton affirmed the captain's statement. He then voiced his guess. "Perhaps we were under an illusion or hallucinated for some other reason. And because everyone has different personalities and experiences, what we saw and experienced were different." Before O.L. Keaton finished speaking, Parvy blurted out, "Mushrooms. Could it be those mushrooms? Those mushrooms were the strangest." "Yes, definitely." Weimer agreed after being momentarily taken aback. It was common knowledge that one could be poisoned and end up hallucinating after eating certain mushrooms. In such a strange place, it was reasonable for one to be affected just by approaching the mushrooms. Captain Gray seriously recalled for a moment and said, "That's possible." There was a very faint, sweet smell in the air. The fragrance of some mushrooms? In the middle of a small town called Utopia, on the surface of the cathedral that was suspected to belong to the Church of Evernight, mushrooms suddenly became active. They squirmed and crazily spewed out large amounts of spores. Before the spores landed, they had already grown into different mushrooms in the air. Then, they continued to create more spores. And in the gap between the black bricks occupied by the mushrooms and green plants, pale white, tiny, baby-like deformed palms squeezed out. Silently, the entire cathedral collapsed, and a bottomless pit appeared in the ground. The huge pit spread out, pulling the buildings over and shattering them into pieces. Elsewhere in the town, the large number of houses that had originally stood tall had long disappeared, leaving behind large pieces of colorful glass-like traces. In the depths of the ground, muffled sounds came one after another. In just a few seconds, the place had completely fallen silent. Buildings rose from the ground one after another, and the town quickly recovered as if it had a vitality of its own. The furnishings in the houses were almost the same as before, but there were certain differences in their details. What was left had switched to the right, and what was far became close. Late at night, on the ship, Weimer, who could not sleep because of what happened during the day, came to the deck and breathed in the moist sea breeze. you're still awake?" He saw the bosun, Parvi. Parvi was still wearing the clothes she wore during the day. She looked at the dark sea in the distance and said, "I was going to sleep, but I suddenly recalled some details after I closed my eyes." "What details?" Weimer asked curiously. Parvi's face reflected the red moonlight as she said, "There's something else under the darkness I saw in the cathedral." Without waiting for Weimer to ask, she muttered to herself dreamily, "There were many skeletons, some children's and some babies. Some of them were normal, while others looked like monsters. It was packed with them, everywhere. Also, there seemed to be a raven hidden in the depths of the darkness." Thank you for reading on mybox novel. Com. Grozel. Frunzier, who was closest to the giant, rushed to Grozel and caught him. Then, he slowly released his grip and stood up, as though he had just experienced a confusing dream. Xiaofan tore out of Mobit's arms, and ignoring the pain all over her body, she ran to Grozel's side with the aid of the wind. She bent down and carefully observed for a moment. Then, she nudged the giant and hysterically shouted, "Wake up! Wake up! It's time for us to leave." Her voice softened into silence. Mobit stood by the side, seeing the giant unable to maintain his body as it wavered. Finally, it fell to the ground with a thud. He fell silent for a few seconds before exhaling. At that moment, Anderson and Edwina had already run to Snowman. One used a flame, while the other mimicked holy light to quickly defrost him. As Klein was nearby, he directly arrived by Grozel's side. His spirit body thread's vision told him that the giant was dead. Only his spirit lingered, but it was beginning to scatter. This made his damage transfer powers completely useless. From the moment Grozel ignited the light of dawn and engaged the frost dragon in a second battle, he must have prepared himself for death. Klein fell silent. Mobit glanced at him and said with a rueful smile, "To be frank, I've not seen many giants. Most of my impression of them had come from books, teachers, and parents. I always thought that this race was cruel and violent, unintelligent creatures who were closer to monsters. However, Grozel wasn't like that. He was frank, honest, and optimistic. Although he might appear rather silly, he knew better than anyone what was right and wrong. He told me that this was because he wasn't one of those ancient giants. He wasn't even a second or third generation giant. The cruel and violent giants similarly had the ability to reproduce and give birth. As for their descendants, there would be more rational ones appearing from time to time. These descendants would reproduce and have more descendants, allowing the entire giant race to escape from the confines of being monsters. I don't know if I should believe him, but his existence has proven the possibility." As Mobit said that, he suddenly paused as though immersed in his memories. At that moment, Edwina and Anderson helped Snowman, whose body was still a little stiff, walk over. The ascetic struggled as he walked to Grozel's side. Looking at the tightly closed single eye, Snowman gestured the sign of the cross on his chest. He half closed his eyes as he whispered a prayer, "Father of all things, the great source of everything, here lies an honest and pure soul. May he enter your kingdom and receive eternal redemption." Xiaofan opened her mouth as though she wanted to say that Grozel's faith was in giant King Ormer, but she ultimately chose to keep silent. She watched in silence as Snowman completed the prayer. "We have to leave as quickly as possible. No one knows how long this door will remain open," the elvish songster said as she surveyed the surroundings. Her sorrow and pain left her rather quick-tempered. She looked down at the giant and added in a heavy voice, "We can't let Grozel's soul dissipate in this illusory world. We have to bring him back to reality." "All right," Mobit immediately agreed. Klein and company didn't object either. Edwina turned her head and shouted at the mountain cave of ice and snow. "Danitz, you can come out now. At that moment, Xiaoda's eyes darted around as though she had recalled something. She turned her head and said to Klein, "Do you have a pen and paper?" "Yes." Klein took out the fountain pen and notes he brought around with him. This was a professional trait of being a seer. Xiaodas received it and began scribbling on it. She didn't stop, even when Danitz ran out of the cave. Danitz kept silent. He was also in low spirits as well, lacking the joy and excitement he should have with the pending departure from this book world. Finally, Xiaodas stopped writing and handed the paper and pen to Klein. "The formula you wanted. Aren't we completing the trade only after leaving?" Klein mumbled silently in puzzlement. He received the pen and the ocean songster potion formula. As though sensing his puzzlement, Xiaodas turned her head and looked at Grosel. She said with a heavy voice, "We are now companions. So you can give me the potion formula directly?" Klein put the items away and nodded indiscernibly. "I'll give you the wine cup after we leave." Xiaodas didn't respond. Instead, she nudged Mobit. "Bring Grosel along." Mobit looked down at his body, which wasn't too muscular, and his sharp, curvy leather boots. He gave a bitter smile of helplessness and walked to Grosel's thigh. Frunzier silently followed as he bent down to embrace the giant's left shoulder. Anderson looked around and sked. "All of you are injured or weak. Let me do it." He then lifted up Grosel's other shoulder. Klein was just about to help with the other thigh when Danitz rushed over to take the spot. Upon seeing this, he stopped in his tracks. He then watched Anderson and company lift Grosel as they walked towards the illusory snow-laden door. Klein, Edwina, Xiaodas, who stumbled as she walked, and Snowman silently followed beside them before they arrived at the exit formed from Ulissen's corpse. At that moment, Klein surveyed the area and discovered that the light blue blood that flowed out from the King of the North had vanished. It was as though it had never existed. Indeed, it's a conjured monster that's almost real. Klein walked behind as he watched Edwina take a few steps forward as she bent her back, placing her palms on the door. Then, Vice Admiral Iceberg exerted her strength and pushed open the snow-laden door. Silently, everyone saw everything disappear after turning illusory then transparent. Rows of brownish-yellow bookshelves quickly appeared before their eyes, along with the orange-yellow sun which had just set below the horizon, and a desk with a fountain pen, ink bottle, and paper. This was Vice Admiral Iceberg Edwina's cabin. Klein quickly placed the middle of the table in his sights. Sitting on it was a book filled with yellowish-brown goatskin. The book flipped to the end as a result of a formless wind. Klein and company then saw the epilogue. With the help of the crazy adventurer and the strongest adventurer, Grosel fulfilled his promise. He led his teammates and slayed the King of the North, but he also ended up sleeping forever in the Nation of Frost. It didn't even give our ending. Xiaodas, where do you plan on heading to next? Mobit released Grosel's thigh as he turned his head to ask the elvish songster. Xiaodas's eyes seemed to glaze over for a few seconds before she firmly said, "Seek out my race." Just as she said that, she suddenly saw Mobit's flaxen-colored hair rapidly turn white. His originally smooth face had obvious wrinkles. In just a second, Mobit was dying of old age. Xiaodas's heart tightened. Just as she was about to lunge forward, she was surprised to realize that she had lost the strength in her legs at some point in time. With a thud, she fell to the ground and realized that the back of her hands were covered in the aged spots of an elder. She instantly understood what was happening as tears immediately flowed down her face. She struggled as she attempted to crawl towards Mobit. Mobit had similarly slumped to the ground as he crawled towards her while extending his right palm. Xiaodas reached out her right palm and grabbed the wrinkled and thin hand. They raised their heads with great difficulty as their pupils reflected one another. The corners of their mouths curled up simultaneously before loosening weakly. Their eyelids drooped down and blocked out the light. Klein, Edwina, Anderson, and Danitz failed to react in time to such changes. They had no idea what they could do as they helplessly watched Grozel's corpse rapidly rot as his flesh and blood evaporated, leaving his skeleton and beyonder characteristic. As for Mobit, Ciatas, Snowman, and Frunzier, they aged in seconds before breathing their last breath and repeating whatever had happened to Grozel's corpse. Their clothes had either disappeared or turned to dust. Their souls dispersed at extraordinary speeds before they were gone. Even the one who lived inside the book for the shortest time had been there for 165 years, Edwina muttered softly as she turned her head to look at that bones which faced the sea and sun. It was none other than disciplinary Paladin Frunzier. He was sitting on a chair looking west, where Backlund was. Snowman was seated cross-legged to the side. His corpse maintained the posture of praying. That's right. They've lived in the book world for centuries or millennia. With the rules of the outside world, as non-demigods, they should have died long ago. I should have realized this. Why wasn't I wary of this point at all? Could it be? Klein suddenly recalled the psychological influence on Mobit, Grozel, and company as he began having an idea. He once again looked down at the book bound by goatskin. He believed that it had many, many more secrets. This fellow is rather interesting. He died just like that. Anderson looked at Mobit's corpse as he smirked. At that moment, all the beyonder characteristics had slowly condensed. However, Frunzier didn't produce anything similar to that. Edwina observed for a moment before softly saying, the potion he consumed was illusory, likewise for the strength he obtained. It's just like that frost dragon. It was likely conjured in the book world. It was almost real. Klein sighed silently. He was momentarily at a loss for words, so all he could do was maintain Gehrman Sparrow's silence. In the next 10 minutes, no one spoke in the captain's cabin of the Golden Dream until the 4 beyonder characteristics took form. One of them was the size of a fist resembling a heart. It was covered with holes as it shimmered with the light of dawn. Another resembled a jellyfish, its translucent exterior seemed to contain azure-blue seawater, and inside it were vortices that were occasionally stirred by hurricanes or flashing silver lightning while emitting a faint, ethereal song. Another was a pure, bright crystal that exuded holiness. The last was a baby's palm with 5 thin stretched-out fingers as it kept changing colors due to the environment. Sigh, we can't just keep watching like this. Finally, Anderson broke the silence. Let's split the beyonder characteristics. Just as Edwina's light blue eyes were dyed with pangs of fire, the hunter shrugged and said with a wry smile, I believe that they'll have wishes such as this, as we were companions who fought together. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.